Theme song. We're living here in Allentown, but they've taken Teddy's finger now. And I'm pretty sure I'm gonna lose my shit and shoot Alan in the face and shoot myself.
Hello and welcome to episode 14 of Our Dads Are Brothers, a TV and movie review podcast. I'm Nathan Tracy along with my co-host.
And I'm Bat Tracy. In today's episode, we're covering the Hangover Trilogy, if you remember it.
Wait, what happened?
Exactly.
Yeah, the Hangover Trilogy. And it's going to be a fun episode.
Yeah, it was fun going back to these. I haven't seen them in years.
Yeah, darn near a decade.
I know I've seen them more recently than that, but yeah.
Well, since they came out. These are semi-old movies nowadays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
the first one's 13 years old or whatever. 2009, 2022,
yeah,
13 years.
yeah. Well, anyways, we'll get to that in a second. How you been?
I've been pretty okay lately, I guess. You know,
Did you enjoy your week off?
I did and I didn't because
It wasn't really
it
a
wasn't
week
a
off.
really week off because we did way more because of all the shark episodes. But yeah, it was fun. I feel like I've been watching a lot of stuff to talk about though because of the week break.
Nice. Yeah, I just watched all the shark stuff.
Have you been watching anything else or no?
Not a whole lot. Game show season's back on, I believe. So I've been watching. I think I mentioned it last time, but like Celebrity, Family Feud. We've been watching Age Gap or whatever it's called. The $100,000 Pyramid with Michael Strahan. Claim to Fame. A lot of fun
Nice.
games / reality shows. What all have
I
you watched?
I've watched a lot. I watched. I got
How
caught up.
did how did
I,
your boy do in Tour de France?
Oh, Tadej Pogačar, he came in second place overall. Jonas Vingegaard, he won the entire tour, which if anyone else was going to win, I wanted it to be Vingegaard because he was the rival of Pogačar the whole time. But
Oh,
it was a
nice.
great race, yeah.
So like a well-deserved race, well-deserved
Yeah,
win.
he was the strongest racer throughout the entire tour.
Okay,
Yeah,
definitely
um,
deserved it.
definitely. And I think he was in the lead the last, I want to say like 7 or 8 stages. He had the yellow jersey, so he was crushing it.
Nice.
But then I've gotten caught up on all the MCU Disney Plus TV shows. So I've
Very cool.
watched. I haven't finished What If yet because I'm having a lot of problems with What If. I don't know if I like it.
Yeah, I only got a few episodes in, and
It's just
it's
all
not
the
that I
episodes are
don't like
really
it.
long.
It's some of them are slow going. There's some, I wouldn't say boring, but slow is a good word.
Yeah.
Parts.
But then I watched Hawkeye. I loved Hawkeye. Hawkeye's my favorite
Yes.
Avenger. So I really enjoyed that show. Moon Knight. I was iffy on Moon Knight. I think it's good and I enjoyed it, but it's not what I wanted from a Moon Knight series.
Yeah, because
So
it's a thriller essentially.
yeah, and the
Yeah.
last 2 episodes though were incredible.
Don't spoil. I every time I tried to watch Moon Knight, it was like shooting myself in the foot. I had a long day and I tried to watch it way too late, and it's a dark show,
It is
so
dark.
I fell asleep every episode because, like I said, I did it to myself. So maybe I should try watching in the middle of the day.
It is cool for a nighttime show though because it's got some spooky vibes.
Yeah,
And then I watched Miss Marvel, and Miss Marvel is fantastic. It's
I have not seen
incredible,
that yet.
really, really good. But then besides that, I watched the entire series of Zack Stone is going to be famous. I really enjoyed that. Bo Burnham is hilarious.
You already previously seen WandaVision, Falcon, Winter Soldier, and Loki, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I just stopped watching them for a while, so I got caught up.
Oh, okay.
And then 2 movies I watched recently. I watched Amityville Karen, which was directed by Sean C. Phillips, who's Cool Duder on YouTube. It was bad, and I feel bad saying that it was bad because I like Cool Duder and I like him as an actor and I like his work, but this movie was pretty bad and wasn't great at all. And then I watched the movie The Toy with Richard Pryor, and the only reason I'm mentioning this movie is from 1980, but is because I saw this as a kid and remember thinking like, oh yeah, I remember that vaguely. It was somewhat funny or whatever. And so I rewatched it, and it is awful. It is a truly just despicable movie, like a
Oh
horrible
man.
film. And the premise of the movie is that Richard Pryor is a down on his luck black guy. And he meets Jackie Gleason, who's a very rich white guy. Jackie Gleason pays Richard Pryor to be a human toy for his son, which already right there, kind of a racist premise. But you could do
And
something with that idea.
and just weird, like
It is very weird.
disturbing almost.
You could do something with that idea. You could make it work.
Sure.
But throughout the movie, you're kind of like, this is pretty weird, a little bit racist. Well, then the ending of the movie is Jackie Gleason having a party that he pays Richard Pryor to be like the guest or whatever to come and play with his son. It ends with Jackie Gleason hanging out with the fucking KKK at this party, and Richard Pryor being like, "Why are you hanging out with the KKK?" And he's like, "Because I hate black people." And
Whoa,
it's just like this is a fucked up movie.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Uncalled for.
Yep.
Yeah, I've never seen it. I probably won't watch it.
You shouldn't.
Yeah, I don't really note what I watch, so I probably watched a little more. Just I don't remember. I watched stuff with my daughter. We're watching Brother Bear.
Brother Bear, I remember being a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I remember it being a good movie too.
I like the moose.
Yes, they are hilarious.
Well, should we get into some birthdays?
Yeah, we definitely should. Today is August 4th, and who do we have?
Today's birthdays, we have quite a big list. We got Abigail Spencer, Adhere Kalin, Barack Obama, Billy Bob Thornton, Chet Hanks, Colin Dylan Sprouse, Daniel Day Kim, Greta Gerwig, James Tupper, Jeff Gordon, Lauren Tom, Meghan Markle, Richard Belzer, and a wrestler for you, Dean Malenko.
Very cool. Man, we got some ex-presidents, some spouses of royalty, which makes her royal now, I guess.
I don't think they're royal anymore, though. Didn't they
Oh, yeah.
announce that?
Cut me off, he said.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they left the royal family.
Sorry, Ma. I'm out. That's what he said. Quote.
Yeah.
He told Oprah that.
He said, I'll show you where to stick it, Ma.
Yeah. Right in,
Mama.
right in this briefcase, Megan said. Deal or no deal?
Wait, she's from Deal or No Deal, right? Meghan Markle.
Yeah. Well, that's one of her things, yeah.
And I know she was on, I think, the TV show Suits.
I have no idea.
I think that was the show she was on, Suits.
I mean, she's your celebrity crush, isn't she?
No, I honestly
just
don't know anything about her.
Neither do I.
I've never even seen her act in anything.
Yeah, I just know she's. Well,
Yeah.
who are we gonna highlight today? Meghan Markle?
I was actually thinking about Daniel Day Kim.
Okay, I don't recognize the name, honestly.
Well, I think he's best known for he played Jin in Lost. He was also Chin-Ho Kelly in Hawaii Five-O. He was Johnny Gat in the Saints Row video game series. And most recently, he was Chief Benja in Raya and the Last Dragon, the Disney movie.
Oh, okay. Is he the main, like one of the main guys in Hawaii Five-O?
Yeah, I believe he's one of the two main cops.
Okay, I think I recognize him. He's got his super slicked back hair.
Yep.
Okay. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. That's the same song. Well, he's 54 today. He was born in Busan, South Korea.
Ah. I knew he was a Korean actor. I wasn't sure if he was actually born in Korea or if he was a Korean American. You said people want us to do a police episode? Like police show
Yeah,
episode?
I've heard one person told us we need to do like the top 10 to watch, like worth watching.
I don't know. I don't watch them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because there's very few that I've watched full
we'll
episodes
just do
of, let alone like a season.
Yeah, police show. We'll get a police officer on the podcast. That would actually be funny. We're just like, yo, today we have Officer so-and-so with us. He's going to tell us what he thinks of these cop shows. We'll be like, all right, Blue Buds, what do you think of Tom Selleck? He's like,
Well, I actually haven't seen it.
no, he's like, well, my wife likes it a lot, and I think it's a fine show, even though it's not really accurate. All right, now how about Andy Griffith? Well...
It'd be even funnier if he didn't know what we were doing and just told him, he's like, guys, I haven't seen these. I don't actually own a TV.
We give him a list ahead of time and say, can you tell us which ones you've seen so we can know what to talk about? And he's like, yeah, I've seen these. Cool. We go with the other ones. So, like 5. He's like, I thought I told you what I've seen. Yeah, so we can avoid those.
So I got a fun fact for you about Daniel Day Kim.
Ooh, I like fun facts.
After getting the role of Jin on Lost, he actually had to relearn how to speak Korean as he had not spoken it since he was in high school.
Oh, slacker.
Yeah. And then after Lost ended, he joined the cast of Hawaii Five-O, as you probably know. And he actually started his own production company, 3AD, which is the production company that also produces The Good Doctor.
Oh, wow. He must
be
be
very
loaded.
popular show right now.
Yeah, it surely is. Yeah, I've got a fun fact.
Tell me.
Kim is a avid collector of vintage watches.
That is pretty neat. I always like when I learn that someone's a watch collector, because as someone who doesn't wear a watch or know anything about them, I'm just like, that's neat.
Yeah, I actually have 4 watches myself.
Are they vintage?
No.
Well, then you suck.
Well, should we get right into it?
I think we should. Let me just take a sip from this drink first.
First of the Hangover trilogy, as I assume most people would guess, is The Hangover from 2009.
I'll just say all three of these movies are directed by Todd Phillips. He did the entire trilogy. The first one was made on a budget of $35 million and it grossed $469.3, which is $1 million, which is quite a big profit. It has a 79% on Rotten Tomatoes and an 84% audience score.
All pretty good. Great profits, nice scores.
Yeah, for a low budget like that, that's a
Yeah.
really good take. Should I do a quick synopsis?
Yeah, do it.
As everyone knows, because I think everyone in the world has seen The Hangover, it's about four guys, and the one guy's getting married, so they're going to Vegas for a bachelor party, and things take a little bit of a crazy turn when it turns out that Alan roofied them, and they don't remember what happened the previous night. And
By
some
mistake.
crazy,
It
yeah,
was a mistake.
some crazy antics go down, and they have to figure out what the hell happened because their friend Doug is missing. And where is he? I don't know. I don't know. He's on the roof.
Yeah, crazy stuff goes down. It's one of those puzzle movies. They had to piece it together to figure out what happened. So, yeah, it starts out. Well, I like the first two at least do this, which we'll get to the second one, obviously, where it starts out like 3/4 of the way through the movie. Kind of like we fucked up. Like,
Yeah. Starts
yeah,
with Phil's phone call to Tracy, and then it
yeah.
does a flashback.
Well, no, first Tracy's trying to get a hold of Doug. So like voicemail after voicemail, which this is one voicemail I hate. Phil's is leave me a message or don't, but whatever you do, don't text me because it's gay, and I don't condone that message.
Yep. Texting's better than phone calls because phone calls suck. But
First, yes,
yeah, my note is I wrote beginning is way more homophobic than I remember.
yeah. Well, it's just that dumb like people use the G word, the R word, the whatever just to mean stupid. And it's like that's so old. Don't do that anymore. Please stop
Yeah.
it. She gets a hold of Phil and he's all, yeah, we lost Doug. And then it's like 2 days before, and they're about to go to Vegas for the bachelor party. And I love Doug's fiance's father. He's played by
Jeffrey Tambor.
yeah, Jeffrey Tambor. He's a great actor. But anyways, he is telling Doug, he's like, take my sick ass old school Mercedes. You'll have a good time. He's like, oh my gosh, no, I can't do this. Okay, fine.
Do you think the car is that cool? Because I don't.
Like cool factor, no. Awesome factor, yes. Like the fact that it's a, I don't know, 60s, 70s mint condition car in general, no matter how cool it is, I think there's a nice factor. Like
I guess.
I would
I just
enjoy
don't like
driving
the look of
around.
it.
Agreed. I would choose a different car 9 times out of 10, but if somebody was like, hey, drive this, I'd be like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm driving this. The line he tells Doug, he says, remember, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. He goes, okay. He goes, except herpes, that shit comes back with you.
I was just gonna say.
I love that line. I feel like the first one, like you said, everyone's seen this movie. It's very quotable. There's lots of parts that people quote like for life.
Yes.
Yes, it's wonderful.
For a small time frame, this was every frat guy's favorite movie.
Well, it's just part of that genre, that super raunchy, bang bang comedy, just nonstop jokes, nonstop action.
Should we jump straight into notes?
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't have
technically we
many
did.
notes. Yeah, I
We
don't
said
have
the
many notes, but like I'm just going through the movie in my head and reading a plot and just
okay.
coming up with shit.
Well, I think the opening song at the beginning, great choice. It's like a slow, folksy ballad, and it's got like a little twang to it, and it just fits perfectly with the setting of this movie. Because I think The Hangover counts as a sand movie. I love sand movies. This
Sure.
takes place in the desert. There's a lot of sand. I think it fits perfectly.
Yeah, the opening song was a Elvis cover by Elvez. Lel space Bez. It sounds like it is Elvis, but it's not.
Ah,
Opening song was good. Fun fact, just since we're talking about songs, the second song is a song by Danzig, and there's actually a Danzig song in each of these Hangover movies. It's kind of like a Todd Phillips likes Danzig or something.
that's really cool. I know
Yeah,
he's used punk music in his other movies too, so very cool.
lead singer of Black Flag is actually in 2 of these movies, so I think he's just big into punk.
One of the lead singers of Black Flag.
Yeah, the one since 2013.
Gotcha. I was gonna say, yeah, they've had a bunch of different ones because Keith Morris, I think, is one of the most famous ones. Henry Rollins was in Black Flag. Well, my next note is Alan is so weird at the start of this movie, it sets a perfect tone for the film.
Oh yes, yeah,
Like when they first introduce Alan in the scene where he is, standing there with Doug, he is so strange.
yeah. The dude's measuring his inseam, and he's like, "Hey, don't touch my pecker or my penis." I don't know what he calls it, but
He says shaft.
"Yeah, he got close to my shaft. Don't touch my shaft." And he's like, "He's measuring your inseam. It's fine." He goes, "Yeah, get this pervert away from me." And then he
Yeah.
drops trow, and he's got a jock strap on, and just my favorite part about that is like he keeps getting closer and closer. And before the hug, I don't know what the line is, but he just grabs the straps and just snaps them mid sentence, and it's just like okay. And then he hugs him, and it's just like wow.
So weird that he's wearing a jockstrap. Like, what's the purpose?
Yeah, I don't know.
Also, at the start of this movie, I wrote, Phil is a terrible dude. He's literally stealing money from kids.
Oh yes,
Like, like he set up this premise of these kids, he's taking them to a field trip.
yeah, he's a
And I
teacher.
assume it's a real field trip. But what I think happened is he told, like, maybe the field trip cost $40, and he was like, hey, it's $80. And so
Yeah,
he took $40 from every kid or whatever. So what a dick.
yeah, super dick. So like you said, Phil stole from some kids, just to set the tone. Stu, he's a doctor. He's actually a
A
dentist.
doctor, he's a dentist.
Calls himself a doctor the whole time.
I mean,
And
technically they are doctors.
yeah, but it's just funny. Yeah, but Stu's longtime girlfriend is just a horrible person. Like questions everything he does, kind of like moms him, won't even take a kiss. Just sets up that he's in a hell of a relationship, which changes the movie later.
Yeah, she's mean.
So they
And
get to
she
the
fucked a sailor
yeah, it was a bartender.
on a boat.
Yeah. So they get to the hotel, and it's so funny that they're just like making Stu pay. They're like, "Yeah, this room," and then Phil's like, "No, let's get the villa." It's like, "How much is that going to cost?" And she's like, "Oh, 4,000 a night." He's like, "Yeah, Stu, give me your credit card." And then he goes, "It's okay, he's a doctor."
Yeah, I was just gonna
No,
say it's
he
okay.
goes,
He's
"I'm
a
a doctor."
doctor.
And then Alan tells the lady, "He's a dentist. Don't let it fool you."
No, Phil says that, and
Oh yeah,
then Alan goes, "Hey, question for you: Is this the real Caesar's Palace?"
yeah. And everyone's like, "What?" He's like, "Did Caesar live here?" No, no, he didn't. There's a part in the third movie where they're looking at a model of a house, and he's like, "Yeah, I hid it in this house." And he goes, "Now, this isn't the real house, right? This is too small. This is like the model, right?" Like, and they're just like, "Oh my god, Alan." I just brought that little housing up because I don't think we'd bring that joke up.
I don't think so either. But yeah,
Yeah,
it fit perfectly with this
yeah.
one.
So yeah, they check out the room. It's all cool and stuff. And they're like, "Let's go up to the roof, take some shots." And Alan brings up some Jägermeister, and they're like, "Jägermeister, I feel like I'm in college again." They all do shots, and he cuts his hand open with a knife, and he goes, "All right, blood brothers, like, let's go." And he does a little speech, and everyone's like, "No, I'm not doing that." It just pans over to the town, and it does a little speed shot where it shows it turned to night, then back to morning, and
Yes, and this scene is really cool because it's timed perfectly to "In the Air Tonight" by Phil Collins. So when the fountains at that one I think it's the Bellagio, the fountains, they shoot off in time with the song.
oh, nice. I didn't
Yeah.
quite notice.
I'll be honest with you, I've watched this movie with the commentary like 3 times, so I know a lot of weird little facts like that.
Cool. Next day, Alan wakes up first and goes to the bathroom.
Yes, he does wake up first, and once he gets in the bathroom, he's pissing, and he turns and there's a tiger there, and at first he's like, "Oh, okay," and then he goes back, and then he turns again, and he's like, "Oh my God, a tiger!" The entire scene with the tiger here, like where he goes and sees it, and he runs out, falls on Phil, and then he's like, "Phil, there's a tiger in there," and Phil's like, "There's not a tiger in there," and then he opens the door, and he's like, "There's a goddamn tiger in there." The scene is so funny. I remember laughing so hard
Yeah.
when I first saw this.
Well, and Alan was peeing, and he like turns his whole body, still peeing, just like peeing everywhere. And
Yeah.
it's so funny when that happens in movies. Yeah, so they find out there's a tiger in the bathroom, and then all of a sudden they hear a baby crying. They're like, "What the fuck is that?" He's like, "Well, it's a baby." And then there's a baby in the closet, and they're like, "Oh my god." Alan's like, "Oh, I'll take care of it," and he names it Carlos and wears it in a
And
front
he
backpack.
tells Stu that it's not a problem. He's found a baby before.
Yeah, I found a baby before.
There's also a really funny gag here where they try and call Doug's phone, and it starts ringing. And so Alan answers the phone, and Phil's like, Alan, it's me. And he's like, oh, hi, who is this? And he's like, it's Phil. And he's like, oh, hi, Phil. And then Alan realizes that Phil's standing next to him, and he just hangs up.
Wait,
It's
yeah, he just goes, "Oh, this is Doug's phone." Yeah, I found Doug's phone. And they're like, "Yeah, no shit."
very
Yeah,
funny.
yeah. So Doug's nowhere to be found. So they're like, "All right, let's go get the car out of valet, go find Doug." And they're sitting there waiting, talking about the baby. And I think that's when he mentions he found a baby before. And all
Yeah,
of a sudden,
well,
they bring a
first they go
cow.
get breakfast, and that's where he's doing like Carlos jerking off. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
then they go to
inappropriate.
the valet and mention that he's found a baby before. And then of
Yeah,
course the valet, instead of bringing them the Mercedes, brings them a cop car.
yeah, an LAPD cop car. And then when Alan goes to get in with the baby in the front backpack, like I said, just fucking opens the door into his face. Baby starts crying. He's like, "You just smacked the door into the baby." And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, he's okay."
A baby Bjorn. That's what those things are called, right? A baby Bjorn.
No, I have no idea.
I think that's what they're called.
I just know that they make T-shirts where it looks like you have Carlos on your front.
Yes. Well, my next note, it's skipping a little bit ahead, but not much. It's when they go to the chapel and they end up finding out that Stu got married. But the dude that works at the chapel is the coach from the Goldbergs. His name's Brian Callen. I
Yeah,
think he's a
he's
very
funny.
funny guy. He's got some allegations against him, but like you said, I think his acting style is very funny.
Yeah, funny actor. Yeah, and the only thing you miss about getting to the chapel is they went to the doctor first because Phil realizes he has got a bracelet on, and he gets there, and the doctor, I forget
Matt
who plays the
Walsh.
doctor.
Matt
Yeah, Matt
Walsh.
Walsh.
And
He's a
his
funny
he's
actor too.
Matt Walsh is in every single movie that Todd Phillips has directed, and his character is always named Walsh because
Oh,
that's his
nice.
last name. But in this
Nice.
one, Todd Phillips told him that no, I wrote a real character for you. Your name is Dr. Volch with a V instead of a
Oh
W.
my gosh.
So he's an actual character.
That's awesome. So they find out that Stu married a stripper. I don't actually know exactly what she is.
She's an escort.
Okay. But I think she also strips at a strip club.
Yeah.
And she also, who knows? But they're like, oh, wait, is that the mother of this baby? We got to find her. Maybe she knows where Doug is. Every single time they talk to anybody, oh, maybe they know where Doug is.
They
Because,
don't.
no, nobody knows where Doug is. They're like, yeah, he was with you. It's like, dang, well, then when did we lose this guy?
Doug kind of gets shafted in these movies too, because I like Justin Bartha as an actor, and it just kind of sucks. Like it makes sense in the first movie, but as we get into the other movies, it sucks that he's not a part of them.
Yeah. So they get arrested for having a stolen police cruiser after they drive it on the sidewalk and everything.
So yeah, they get to Heather Graham's and she's explaining like, oh yeah, Carlos is my kid. His name's Tyler actually, and oh yeah, so me and Stu got married and blah 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 or whatever. And then as they're talking, two cops show up. They kick in the door, and this is the only thing I wrote in my notes is they. It's Rob Riggle who plays one of them, and he screams, "Shut that baby up! Shut that baby up!" as the baby starts crying because they kicked in the door, and it's I think the best line from the entire movie.
It's definitely a very Rob Riggle line.
Just the timing of it is perfect. And then after they get arrested, they're brought to the police station, and Rob Riggle's like, "You guys are fucked because you stole a cop car and all this, and you did a bunch of crimes." And they're like, "Well, maybe we can work something out because you guys don't want to look like bad cops by having your police cruiser stolen." And so they work out a deal where Rob Riggle's character is showing he's giving a presentation to a group of school kids. And so they bring Phil, Stu, and Alan into the room and shoot them with a taser. And it's great.
Yeah, definitely was great. And the kid who gets Alan previously like kicked his phone when he was taking pictures of him a little bit ago. So he had like a little vengeance for him. And he shoots it at Alan, and Alan just stays up, like all like just taking it. And Phil and Robert was like, "Oh yeah, this happens with these bigger guys. Sometimes you gotta hit him with another one. He goes up and just zaps him in the neck, and then he goes down."
Yep. I will say, as someone who has taken a stun gun, they are not that bad. You can sit there and go through it if you really had to. A taser, though, with that shoots the barbs into you, you're going down.
Right. Well, also a taser I assume depending on where and for how long. Like I
It
know
hit
for you,
him in the
you just
balls.
you just got a quick zap, like like
Yeah.
I was hoping that you were gonna take like a 10-second to the neck.
Yeah, he takes one barb to his head and the other barb to his balls, and he still doesn't go down. And then yeah, he hits him in the neck with with the stun gun, which maybe because he's already been tased, the stun gun has more of an effect. But if you just got hit by a stun gun, you'd be fine.
From your experience, which I said you got a little zap. So,
I've used it more times outside of just that one video I made. But yeah,
okay. So yeah, after they get out of police custody, the police tell them like, "Oh yeah, we did find your Mercedes. It's parked in the middle of the interstate with a sign saying couldn't find a parking toll meter. Here's $4." And they're like, "So it's an impound. So yeah, you can get it." We're
and
like,
they
"Okay,
didn't even
cool."
leave $4.
Yeah, and they're like, "All right, cool." So they're sitting there waiting for it, and it shows up, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's in okay condition. Cool." And they start driving it, and they hear a thump in the trunk. They're like, "Oh my god, what's in the trunk?" And they open the trunk,
And a
and a
naked
tiny,
Asian man,
tiny naked Asian man just jumps out, crotch into dude's face, into Phil's
yeah,
face, I
Phil's
believe,
face
and just beats the crap out of all three, and runs off in black socks.
in shoes.
I think
Um,
just black socks.
I think he's got shoes on too. I think it's socks and shoes, but maybe I'm wrong. But
Well,
yeah,
the
I my
listeners can email us at ourdadsbrothers@gmail.com.
yes, I wrote in my notes. Leslie's introduction is still really funny. And as a side note to this, Ken Jeong, he actually did a stand-up special on Netflix in I think 2018, 2019. But he has a whole bit about this scene and how he thought he was going to embarrass his wife because he showed his dick on screen and how everyone laughed at him like, oh, look at his tiny dick or whatever. But he was like, hey, I've been married for 20 years. You don't hear me complaining. Something like that.
Right. Okay, so after Leslie Chow, which we find out his name is later, comes out of the trunk, beats everybody up, and leaves, Alan confesses that he drugged them with ecstasy. The doctor was like, "No, you guys, this is Rufalin.
Yeah.
Like, you guys have been roofied." The doctor tells him earlier. And then, yeah, he's like, "Sorry, I drugged you guys." He's like, "You roofied us?" He's like, "No, I put ecstasy." He's like, "Well, this is definitely roofies." And he's like, "Oh, it must have been a mix-up with the drug dealer. Huh." And just, like, let it go. They're just like, "I can't believe you drugged us." Yeah, so now they're like, all right, let's just go back to the hotel, regroup, figure something out. They get back there, and fucking Mike Tyson's in their place.
Yes.
They're
Iron
like
Mike.
just jamming Phil Collins. Mike Tyson, and he's like, "Shut up, this is my favorite part." Then he goes, "Doom doom da doom da doom da doom doom," and Mike Tyson starts singing.
I believe the lyrics are like, can you feel the love in the air tonight?
Anyways, I just said Mike Tyson was
That's the
singing to
Lion
death.
King song. I just want to
Yeah,
see if you'd notice.
yeah, I just don't care. And they're all like, "Why are you here?" And he's like, "You stole my tiger." And they're like, "What? It's your tiger?" And he's like,
You
"Yeah, your
stole my
tiger.
tiger.
You stole my tiger. Give me my tiger back." And
You
they
shouldn't
they
do
go to
impressions of that.
they go to leave. Wait, where are you going? Take your tiger. He's like, "No, you took my tiger. You're gonna put my tiger back. We're not putting the tiger." He goes, "You think we're gonna put that tiger in the Bentley?"
It turns out that Alan has one roofie left, one roofalin, or maybe he has two, I don't remember.
It's
But
a couple.
they push him into a stake and throw the snake in with the tiger, which they freak out about that. I would have loved to have fed that tiger. Just saying. I'm an animal guy though. Anyways, so they feed the tiger the steak with roofies in it, and the tiger passes out. And I actually wrote a note. Stu sings a song about the tiger at this part, and I wrote Stu's song is amazing, the funniest thing in the movie. And it's actually funny that I wrote Stu's song because it turns out that's what the song's actually called. But
That is funny.
it's really good. It's just him singing about the tiger, and it's such a beautiful song. It's like, what do tigers dream of? Do they think of Halle Berry in her Catwoman suit?
Yeah.
It's just a beautiful tune. But so they end up doing that, and they put the tiger in the car. Well, the first they take it in the elevator, and there's actually a funny part where they're in the elevator with the tiger under a tarp, and this family gets in the elevator, and like they're asking about what's under the tarp, and Phil responds, "Oh, just a whole bunch of mind your own fucking business." And
Which
this
is
is
funny.
it. It turns out this is actually in the extended edition. I watched the extended, but I still thought that was funny.
So they put in the back of the Mercedes, and they're gone, and they're fighting over something in the car. I don't quite remember. And the tiger wakes up and slashes Phil right in the neck.
The thing that they're talking about in the car is Alan asks when the next Halley's Comet is going to be.
Oh my
And
gosh, yeah.
and they're like, I don't know, it's not for like another 60 years or something like that. And he's like, okay, because my uncle said that he saw one once. I just didn't want to miss it.
They get out of the car and start pushing it. they get all the way to Mike Tyson's place, and Mike Tyson's all, "Oh, cool, thanks for coming. Yeah, we looked at our security footage, and we got some evidence for you."
This is
And
very funny.
yeah, and yeah, go ahead.
So basically, the footage turns out it's of them stealing, but the tiger. But first, it's them like peeing in his pool, and they finally get to the tiger cage, and they like
Yeah,
stealing the tiger and
it
walking out.
shows Alan walk up to the pool, and he's all, "Hey, it's me!" Like on camera. He's like, "Oh, cool!" And then he starts peeing in the pool, and he kind of looks like, "Oh shit."
And then yeah, and then Mike Tyson and his bodyguard they kind of look at him and they're like, Alan's like, I'll go wait outside, and they're like, yeah, you better do that. But then
Yeah, because yeah,
they're stealing the tiger, and Phil's standing there as they're putting the tiger into the car. He's like fake humping the tiger, and he's like, Stu, check it out, I'm fucking a tiger. And then immediately he has to be like, I'm sorry, Mike Tyson, like I'm a
yeah.
horrible
Mike Tyson's
person.
like, "Who does that?" And he goes, "A sick person, I'm guessing." And talking about himself.
Well, like we established earlier, Phil's a terrible person.
Yeah, so then after that, they start driving back, and they just get T-boned by an Escalade, and they're like, "Oh my god, what the hell?" And here comes Chow, and they're like, "Oh my god, that's the naked guy from the trunk." Chow's all, "Give me back my purse." And they're like, "What purse?" And earlier we forgot to mention that Alan had a satchel, and it's like a switcheroo here on
Not a
accident.
purse, it's a satchel.
And he's
Indiana
like, "No,"
Jones has
he's
one.
like, "Yeah," he's like, "No, this is a purse, and it had $80,000 in it. Give it back to me." And he like threatens to kill him if they don't bring it back, so he lets him go. And Alan's like, "Well, I got this card counting book. Let's go win some money in blackjack." So
Rain Man it.
yeah, and
They, I mean, they actually recreate a couple scenes from Rain Man, like the part where they're coming down the escalator and the song "Iko Iko" plays. That's from Rain Man.
nice.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen Rain Man, but
I
yeah,
have not.
it's a good movie.
Yeah, but Stu and Jade, Heather Graham's character, show up at the table after him, and he basically makes them win a bunch and him win even more. Then they get onto him. So Heather Graham goes down quick, so the security's like, "Oh my god, what happened to her?" And they just dip, and they actually won more than they needed. And they
Yeah,
go
like
to
86,000, I think.
82.4 or something,
Oh, okay.
and they go to meet Chow because Chow had Doug with a bag over his head when they first met him. And he's like, "Give me my stuff back." I'm like, "Oh my god, he's got Doug." And they get in the middle of the desert. And like, "Here's your money." He's like, "All right, fine, you can have Doug. A deal's a deal." And he throws them at him.
Well, to let
And
them know that the deal's on, Alan's like, "You gotta
oh yeah,
flash your headlights twice," and he's like, "Why?" To let him know it's on. We
yeah.
drove out to the middle of the fucking desert. I think he knows it's on.
He's
And
like,
then they
"Just
sit
do
there
it."
for a second and nothing happens. So when he finally flashes the headlights and then the guys get out the car.
Yeah. But then when he throws Doug at him with the bag on his head still, immediately I knew it wasn't Doug because he had a gut. Like he was a bigger guy. I was like,
Yep.
"Oh, that's not Doug."
In different clothing.
Yeah. And they throw him Doug, and he takes the head off, the bag off, and he goes, "This isn't Doug." And he goes, "I am Doug." And he's played by Mike Epps. He's actually credited as Black Doug, which they keep calling him, which he keeps getting upset about. But
Yeah.
Alan keeps saying it. And he's like, "No, I am Doug." And he's like, "No, you're the guy that sold me the roofies." And he's like, "What? The ecstasy?" And he's like, "No, his roofies." And he goes, Marshall's gonna be pissed.
Marshall's gonna be pissed off on me on that one.
So they find out that's the wrong Doug, and so Phil's like, "All right, it's time to call it quits. Let's just call the fiance and be like, yeah, we can't make it back. Wedding's off. Can't find Doug." And at the same time, Black Doug says something along the lines of, "Someone who takes roofies is more like to end up on the floor than on the roof." And Stu's like, "Oh shit, I know where Doug is." And they leave, and they're like, "Yeah, you know how his bed's up there? You can't throw it out a window. Just the windows don't open." And they run up there, and they're running, freaking out for him, find him, and then there he is, burnt to a fucking crisp because he's been up there all day. He's all dehydrated with white lips and everything.
Yep.
And they,
And I was wondering, like when I was watching this again, I was like, why didn't he just get off the roof? But it's because the door was locked.
yeah, he was locked up there, and there's no ladders or any jump
Yeah.
would be too far. They take him out of there in a wheelchair, and he's drinking water and everything. And they get him in the car, and they're like, "We got to speed back. The wedding's in like 4 or 5 hours." And so they're speeding, and he's like, "Man, this wasn't all bad." And they're like, "Why?" And he goes, "Yeah, because I woke up and had 80 grand in my pocket." And they're just like, in worth of chips. And he's just like, "Ah, shit."
And then Nico, Alan's friend, drives up in a van on the highway, just speeding up next to him and tosses some suits for him.
Yeah, in like a tuxedo delivery van.
Yeah. They're like, who the hell was that? And Alan goes, oh, that's my friend Nico. He's awesome.
Yeah. And that's the Black Flag singer that we were talking
Hmm.
about. Yeah, and they pull over just to throw the suits on real quick because they can't do it driving. And they're throwing them on real fast. And Alan doesn't even get his pants on. They start driving away. And he's like, wait, wait. Super funny.
They get back in time for the wedding, and that pretty much wraps up the first Hangover movie. We get a cameo by the Dan Band. They sing Lollipop.
Yeah, that was a fun band. And then at the end, right when they're done, they're just like, man, let's just forget that ever happened.
Yeah,
Uh,
we'll never tell our spouses or anybody about this.
and then Alan's like, hey, what's this? And finds Stu's digital camera that he brought with. And they're like, oh my gosh, no, okay, fine. We'll look at them once, then delete them.
Yep.
And they're like, all right. And it shows them all gathered around, and he sees the first photo and just goes, oh my God, or something like that. Just like freaks out. And then it cuts to the credits, and it's the camera roll scrolling through the credits. I liked that part about it.
And one thing we forgot to mention was that Stu does dump his bitch of a girlfriend.
Yeah. Well, then moving on to the second one, Hangover Part II, real clever name. Came out in 2011.
Again, directed by Todd Phillips. I said that at the start. This one was made on a budget of $80 million and it grossed $586.8 million. It has a 34% on Rotten Tomatoes and only a 52% audience score.
So there was the hype because the cash shows for it, and everyone's like, "Oh, that wasn't as good as we hoped."
Yeah, it made more money than the first, which is good because I think the first did really well through word of mouth and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's why I said there was hype. Everyone's like, "Oh, sweet, a second one," and then they're like,
Yep.
"That was garbage," which I wouldn't call garbage. I
I
just
wouldn't
think
call it garbage either.
people just jump to bad scores. Oh, by the way, what was your rating on the first one?
Oh, yeah, we almost forgot that.
You almost forgot.
I give the first one 4 stars. I think it's really good. There's some stuff that, brings it down a little bit, but I think overall it's a really funny movie, and I've seen it a bunch of times.
I agree. 4 stars. I've only seen it a couple times, but back to the second one. It's
Yes,
essentially the same,
it's almost
same
identical to
thing.
the first movie.
Yeah, but this time Stu's gonna get married. So yeah, it starts out 3/4 of the way through. He's making the phone call saying we messed up. And he
Yep.
says worse this time, blah blah blah. And then it cuts back 1 week, and Stu's gonna get married to this new girl named Lauren with Thai descent. So they're gonna go to Thailand, and that's where the wedding's gonna be, and hang out with her parents and everything. And her younger brother, basically, like the whole thing with Alan, like the fiance's younger brother is gonna come with. He's
Teddy.
a 16-year-old kid that's going to Stanford, and he's just a crazy smart guy, and the dad hates Stu and calls him whatever the Thai word for like rice pudding is or something, and
Yep.
he's like, yeah, you're a bland white pasty pudding, and he's like, oh, thanks. And then they go out and have a little bachelor party. They force it on him because he's like, no, just one beer and that's it. And they're like, all right, fine. And then next thing you know, they wake up in a hotel room again, or like an
In
apartment.
Bangkok.
Yeah, in Bangkok, which is I'm assuming a little ways away through water, probably more on land because they have to zoom back via water. Which
Hmm.
yeah, they wake
Yeah, I
up and
think
crazy stuff
the
happens, and
the place
instead
that they
of
go for the wedding is an island, I believe.
okay,
Yeah.
but they wake up and this time Doug was gone and also the younger brother, and they're like, oh my gosh, we lost two. And they call Doug and he's like, yeah, I'm sitting back here having a brunch. Yeah, I dipped out early. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
crap.
And this is what I mentioned earlier. I think Doug gets shafted in this movie because he had no part in the wedding, so he could have joined their group and had part of the adventure too, but they just didn't use him for whatever reason. He's barely in the movie.
I'm wondering if the actor straight up didn't want to.
I don't know. Seems
Because yeah, like you
yeah.
said, he barely was in the movie, and like because then in the third one,
Yeah, he's in it more than the second, but he's still not one of the main characters.
maybe that was just the whole thing. Like it's supposed to be the character that doesn't exist. So like all three movies, he's like not there.
Yeah, I guess. It just feels weird.
Yeah. Finish the synopsis, just like the first one. Like you said, it's essentially the same thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, wake up, can't remember everything, have to trace back everything down and make it back to the wedding on time, and that's the movie. The opening what the fuck scene is, in my opinion, a little better than the first one. Because like the first one, they wake up and they're just like, oh, a tiger, scary. Ooh, a baby, what the fuck? A chicken? Question mark. But this one, they wake up and there's a finger in a glass of water. There's a freaking monkey wearing a jean jacket with a Rolling Stones tongue out patch on the back. Alan rolls out of a bunk bed and just smack dab on the floor face first.
Yes.
Which
Good
That was
bump.
hilarious. Yeah, and he's got no hair. They shaved him. Leslie Chow's there, which they're like, I thought you were the bad guy in the last movie, but no, they're friends now because he's Alan's friend. They woke up with two people missing now, and they find this mysterious something, which turns out to just be Leslie Chow. And because the monkey starts nibbling on his ears, like, get that gay monkey away from me, or whatever he said. So yeah, I just thought it was a better waking up. Like, not better, but like crazier, more fun. And Leslie Chow is all, oh yeah, that was crazy. Like, yeah, oh yeah, I remember everything. You guys ready for the craziest? No, he's like, hold on, let me do this bump and I'll tell you. So he snorts some cocaine and then he goes, all right, are you guys ready for the craziest story? And then the camera scene goes from under the glass coffee table, littered in shit, and he just fucking drops on it and just cracks the whole table and his face is there, checks his pulse, and he's dead. And he's like, he's dead. He's got no pulse.
In my notes, I actually wrote that the Hangover wake up scene isn't as good as the first, but I do love Crystal the monkey, and I think the Chow's dick scene is really funny, where they're like, "What's that?" But yeah, I don't know. I think it tried too hard to top the first one, but I don't think it's as good because I really like when they wake up and they're like, "Oh, where's Doug?" And then they find a baby, and then there's like a tiger, and this one is just a monkey. And I don't know. I think the first one's a little bit better, but I understand where you're coming from. But then to go back a little bit in this movie, sorry to skip around, but at the start, they Tracy really wants Alan to be invited to the wedding, but Stu doesn't want him there because of course, he roofied them. And so they go to talk to Alan at his place. All three of the Wolfpack does. When they get there, Jeffrey Tambor brings them up to Alan's room, and I think this line's really funny. He knocks on the door and goes, "Sweetie, it's Papa."
Yeah.
I think in this movie, Alan is way more rude than he is
Well,
in
it's
the first one.
well, I think it's because, which they mentioned on the third one, but I assume it starts here. He's off his meds.
Yeah,
So
and
yeah, he's definitely more rude.
he's
Super rude.
so rude. Like he treats his mom like garbage.
Yeah.
Like
He invites him into his room and they're like, oh, cool room. Then they turn the corner and then all the photos from the first movie are all over the wall, like blown up. And they're like, "You're supposed to delete these." He's like, "Ah, no one comes in here. That's fine." He pages his mom. He goes, "Mother, I'm done with my sandwich." She comes in. And
and then he like throws a fit about something. He takes like a plate and like throws it on the ground and smashes the plate. And
yeah,
yeah, he's so rude.
yeah, he is super rude to his mom, which we've got notes about that for the third one.
Yeah,
They go to Thailand. This is still before they wake up. And there's one part I want to say, like they're doing like the speeches and the dad's all talking and Alan's like, "I've got some words to say." And he's got a tons of cards. And it just starts out with facts about Thailand. Like he's like, "Oh, this many people get hit by cars per year. This many power outages. This many whatever." And they're just like, "Go to the last card." Which just the fact of the power out goes out early later, like I say, and like they just keep going back to him for facts throughout the movie. And they're like, "How many people get hit by car? Okay, cool. We'll do blah blah blah." But right when they're like, "Skip to the last card, Alan," he goes, "I know Stu better than you." Points to somebody. You points to somebody. Better than you. Better than you. Better than you. And it was just really funny.
yeah, I really like that scene. The one thing this movie does do a little bit better than the first is I think it adds character development for a lot of the guys. Because like in the first one, I mean, there is some character development, but they're pretty just you get introduced to them at the beginning of the movie, and you're like, okay, these are what these guys are like. And then this one, I think their characters change over time. Like Stu's more reserved, and he's, like more anxious and stuff because he's like, my life almost got ruined in the first movie. Phil's a little more cautious. Like they're all just like
Yeah.
Alan's the only one who's turned up to like a 13.
Yeah, and he just wants to have a good old time with the wolf pack, which we never really mentioned in the first one, but he declares that they're a wolf pack. He has a speech right before they take the roofies, and he's like,
I
I
always considered myself a one-man wolf
a
pack.
one man wolf pack, and then I met. It's like really choppy because he's just an interesting guy. He's like, and then I met Doug, and now it's two. Like joined me, and now we're two. Two becomes one wolf pack, and then you guys are now like three and four. So it used to be one, and then two, and then like now it was two. Now it's three and four. Like that's how he says it. And I'm
Yeah.
sorry for the listeners that had to hear that, but it's in the movie. Lauren's little brother, Teddy, Alan's just pissed. He's like, nah, he's not joining this wolf pack. Nobody's gonna like this guy more than me. So like you said, he's rude. He's just like he goes, "Oh, that's a nice neck pillow." And he goes, "Yeah, you can have it." He goes, "Oh, really?" And he just takes it and just throws it across the airport. And it's just like, jeez. And like you said before, no one stops him. Like they should be like, Alan, can you please dial it back a little? Like no one does
Yeah.
it.
Or just be like, Alan, quit being a dick.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they get to Thailand, have that little speech thing. Cool, cool, cool. Stu's like, no bachelor party. I'm going to bed. And they're like, come on, one beer by a fire. I already talked to the manager. We can have a little bonfire on the beach. He's like, all right, fine, one beer. They get out there and they got beers. And Alan brings some marshmallows. They have a good, and then it just like does the whole time lapse scene where, but it's like on the fire. So like fire goes out eventually and everything. And that's when they wake up in the next day, which we covered already.
Yes, we did a little time travel, like Marty McFly.
So now we're caught back up to where Chow supposedly dies. He smacks his head on the table, and they're like, "Oh crap, what are we gonna do with this?" And they're sitting there, and he sees a sign saying "Ice floor, 15th floor." Like, all right, let's go put him in the thing of ice, just so his body doesn't just like rot. They throw him up there, lock it. They had to go up the stairs since the power went out, so the elevator's broken. And they're like, "All right, let's just leave him here. Figure him out later. We gotta figure out the rest of everything that went down." And that's when they call Doug, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm at brunch. What the hell?" Like, all right, fine. Now we just got to find Teddy, and they have to find Teddy. They're like, all right, let's all check the roof first, because that's what you do. Check the roof.
Yeah, 'cause I found
Nothing.
Doug on the roof.
Yeah, wasn't there. He's like, all right, check your pockets, check your phones. Like, let's just investigate like last time, because last time they all checked their pockets and everything. And one thing I forgot to mention is when they woke up, Stu had a Mike Tyson face tattoo.
Yeah. Yes. One thing I don't like about this movie is, it's more of this franchise, I guess. They really go out of their way to just ruin Stu's life.
Yes. Yeah, so then I'm checking their pockets. They didn't really find all that much, at least that I remember. But so they called Doug, or Doug called them, or something. And
They
Doug's
they called Doug to see if he was lost or whatever.
oh, okay. Yeah,
Hmm.
and he's like, no, I'm sitting here having brunch. Like I left the campfire earlier. I wasn't feeling well or something. And they're like, oh, well, that's good. But we lost Teddy. And he's like, well, the police station called me. They said that he's in holding. Like just go pick him up. And they're like, okay, cool, thanks. They get to the police station and they wheel out a fucking old dude in a wheelchair with a
Stanford hoodie
Stanford
on.
hoodie on, and they're like, he like slams the ID on the glass. He goes, "You think this looks like that guy?" And he goes, and he's just like I don't get paid enough for this shit. Basically, is how he acts it off. And then he's like, "Yeah, he had this wallet and all these IDs, and that's his hoodie, and yeah, that's him." I'm like, there you go. See you later. Well, shit.
Hey, what do we do with this guy?
Yeah, so they take him out front and they're like, well, now we got this fucking old dude with us. And as they're like are trying to put his cards back in his wallet or whatever, they see a business card for, I think it was the White Lion Bar or something. And they're like, well, let's go check this place out. Maybe we were there. And they walk up in this smoldering ruins of a business, and like everyone on the streets just like yelling at him in whatever language, like telling him to leave basically. And they're like, what the
Yeah,
hell?
just screaming at them.
Yeah. And they see a tattoo parlor with, and like out front there's pictures of like work they've just done, and Stu's face, and he's like, that's me, that's my face.
Yeah, I wrote a note about this scene. It's like I've said, I don't think this movie's as good as the first one, and
Yeah.
I think this movie suffers from the Wolfpack's shenanigans going too far. And this scene is a prime example because they show up on a street and it's just like an entire block that's just been blown up, and like buildings that are like charred and burnt down, and there's like destroyed cars and shit. It's like they'd be in
Yeah,
prison. They'd probably be
right.
murdered.
Well, but as they do show in a little bit, they show like some footage of that on dude's cell phone, and they turned it into a riot where like tons of people are there doing stuff, so they kind of
Yeah,
just like dipped out, I guess.
just
um
crazy.
Yeah, so they go in the tattoo parlor, and there's like I don't know, like a 7-year-old getting a tattoo or something,
Yeah,
and the
very
dude's
little
like,
kid.
yeah, and the dude's like, you cried like a little bitch. He's like, this guy's got bigger balls than you. And he turns to the kid and goes, show him how big your balls are. And he starts undoing his pants, and he's like, no, 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 you're fine.
Weird
And
line.
yeah, and he's like, show him how big your balls are. Yeah, and then he's like, yeah, you guys don't remember much? Wow, jeez. Yeah, look at my phone. This is what you did last night. And it was just like full on line of riot police. Like,
And did you notice this? This is something I noticed when watching the scene. When he shows the cell phone footage, it's from an angle that if you were on the street, you couldn't have got because there's like scenes. I don't know. It's just a weird filming style.
Yeah, but then I assume as soon as the phone image took over, it was just a memory then, so it wasn't the phone image the whole time. And then,
Possibly.
but then yeah, it cuts to like showing us what happened, and there's just like so much going on, and they see that Teddy was with him, and the old dude was with him. And they're like, oh okay, and they throw a gas canister, and everyone backs up, but the wheelchair stays out there, and Teddy takes the sweatshirt off and gives it to him to use as like essentially a sweater gas mask.
Yeah.
But it's
And
just
so
like
that's how he.
yeah, but it's just like horrible that they leave this old dude in a wheelchair like to just get gassed.
It was probably Phil's idea. He's a bad dude.
Yeah, yeah, probably.
Yeah, and then after that, these two guys end up showing up at the
Well,
tattoo parlor, and they're like riding on a motorcycle, and they show up and they basically like attack Phil and Stu and them, the dudes. What they steal from them?
the monkey. They're like, give us our monkey back.
Yeah, they took the monkey back,
Yeah, they're two Russian mobsters.
and
And
so the Phil tries to go after them, and they end up shooting Phil.
yeah, in the arm.
And I think this entire scene is very funny.
Yeah,
I
like
was laughing nonstop during the whole thing.
well, they were just in like full panic mode. They're like, "Oh my god, what do we do? Oh my god, they've got a gun. Oh, they want this monkey back. What?"
And
And
then
then
just like they're at gunpoint and just like having these petty little arguments about the
yeah,
monkey and like they're like, "Where's our friend?" or whatever. Like, do you know where? Like, they're still just asking. Like, it's so
well,
silly.
I always think in every movie the our friend is just silly. Like the first one's like, "Have you seen Doug? Oh my god, have you seen Doug?" To like random strangers, like, "Who the fuck's Doug?"
No.
And this one, they're like, "Have you seen Teddy?" And everyone's like, "What?" Yeah, but then yeah, the mobsters get their monkey back, and the monkey jumps on the motorcycle, and they give it this little helmet with a banana on it. And Alan goes, "Oh, I give a little helmet with a banana on it. Yeah, they must be good monkey owners or something like that."
Oh, I like Alan sometimes. Other times, not so much. I actually messed up when that scene takes place. It's not after the tattoo parlor. It's actually after the monastery they go to. So I'm gonna let you take this.
Sure, yeah. So when they were showing the footage of the mob happening, or the riot, I guess, the dude is like, well, they were like, "Do you know where we can find our friend?" Like I just said that, after they always do. And the guy goes, like, "Fuck no, how would I know your friend is? But try this." And he like shows the old dude's wrist has like a tattoo, and he's like, "That's why he's not talking. He's a monk. Like, go to the Buddhist temple." And they're like, "Oh, okay." And they get there, and I think you have a note about this. They like get beat up by a monk.
Yeah, the monk like just kicks the shit out of them with a stick.
Yeah, because they like showed up and just started talking or whatever, and like
Yeah.
it's supposed to be like quiet meditation, so he like beats the crap out of him, and he's like, "Think twice about talking next time" or whatever. Like,
Every time they talk, like he hits them, and so they're like, "Ah, fuck! Oh, damn it! Oh, shit!" And every time they do that, he hits them again, and then it's like they get hit, and they're like, "Oh, stop talking! That's why we're getting hit." And then he hits them, and he's like, "Ah, fuck! Stop talking!" And then they get hit, and he's like, "Stop it!" It's just
that reminds me
continuous.
of a game my dad said he used to play. It's called Rock. Whenever you swear, you get punched in the arm really hard, unless they say rock. Well, anyways, so they sit down and meditate because the monk was like, all memories are locked inside. Focus hard enough and you can remember anything or whatever. And they're all like, yeah, yeah. And they're sitting down. Stu actually like slips into meditation and real like starts seeing that he was at this
It was
strip
actually
club.
Alan.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry. But yeah, Alan sees this. Yeah, because they're actually yelling at him. They're like, Alan, what the fuck are you doing? And
Yeah,
Alan's like sitting there just full on meditation. And he sees like the front gate of a strip club. I don't even think he knew it was a strip club or whatever, but like he's like, I know what I need to do. So they're like, all right, let's go find this place. And as soon as they leave, that's where the monsters show up. Yeah, and this is where Alan actually confesses that he drugged some of the marshmallows with muscle relaxers and some of his ADHD medication. But he brought two bags, and he actually like one was for Teddy. He was trying to
yeah,
kill Teddy, or at least sedate him. And
yeah. He
he's
wanted to
like,
sedate him so he'd miss the wedding.
yeah, and he's like, it was hard to tell them apart. It was dark, like. So yeah, everyone ate the dosed marshmallows, and he's like, "You jerk!" He's like, "You dosed the marshmallows." He goes, "You seemed excited." He's like, "I like marshmallows."
Yeah, and so like Alan's explaining that he put in enough of the medication that if you eat three of them, you'd be sedated, but if you ate four, you'd die. And Stu like freaks out and he's like, wait, so you're telling me if I would have had just one more marshmallow, I'd be dead right now? And Alan's like, well, yeah, but nobody eats four marshmallows. And Stu's like, so wait, just the fact that you believe this wild theory that people only eat three marshmallows is the only reason I'm alive right now? And he's like, well, you didn't eat four.
Yeah. He's like, well, yeah. Yeah, and then Severin gets super pissed off at Alan because he drugged them a second time, and Stu starts blaming him for ruining his life and all these attacks and everything. Phil breaks up. He's like, "No, we need to stick together. We gotta find Teddy." And then he sees something on Alan's stomach. He's like, "Oh wait, what the fuck is that?" And it's some like Sharpie or something. He's like, "Did you put that there?" And he's like, "No." So, and it was just like a place and time, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh shit, that's in 20 minutes." Like perfect for the timing of the movie. I was like, "Wow." And so they go there and fucking Paul Giamatti.
Yeah, and so they meet Paul Giamatti, and he's like this bad criminal dude and like a mob boss or whatever. And he's like, yeah, I have your friend Teddy, and I'm gonna shoot Teddy in the fucking mouth if you don't, give me Leslie Chow, because that guy owes me some money or whatever. And they're like, yeah, whatever, we'll get Leslie, we'll bring him to you, and you can give us our friend Teddy back. And they agree and they leave.
Yeah, so they go looking for Chow's password because they know Chow's dead. They're like, "Oh shit, well it's got to be on his body." So they go up to the ice machine, and right when they open it, fucking Chow jumps out just like out of the trunk and just starts beating the shit out of him. And they're just like, "Holy shit, you're alive!" And like calm him down. And he's like, "You motherfuckers tried to kill me." He's like, "No, no, no, you were dead." He goes, "No, that was just doing cocaine. That's how it is. You take a bump and your heart stops. Like it happens. It's
He's like,
fine."
it's fine.
And they're just like, "Oh, what?"
And he's like, I'm so cold.
Yeah, I'm so cold, he says. And then what did he say? He goes, "Rub my balls to warm me up."
Yeah. Oh,
He's all about that. He always tells people like, "Oh, you want to touch my balls, make sure I'm okay," or like, "You want to kiss me?" Yeah. As much as he's fucked up, he's one of my favorite characters. Like, there's so much about him I don't agree with, and it's just fucked up, but he's hilarious. Well, anyways, they tell him he's like, "Yeah, we just met with Paul Giamatti. I think that was his character name in the whole movie." I'm just
Paul
kidding.
Giamatti, yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, he needs like some code. And so he's like, "Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, that's in the monkey's vest. Yeah, you have that, right?" And they're like, "No, we gave him the monkey back." Well, no, they took the monkey back. He's like, "Well, we're gonna have to go get that." And they get there, and the monkey's actually a drug dealer, like the middleman.
And so they kidnap the monkey again, and the Russian mobsters give chase in a car chase. It's Car Chase City, and they're driving through the town in this car chase, just smashing through buildings, almost killing people. They go off a jump, like they jump over a bridge.
Yeah, like they jump a whole canal.
Yeah, and in my notes I wrote car chase scene is a good example of this movie going overboard because it just goes too far, and I
Yeah, well, but that's because Leslie Chow just doesn't give a fuck. He's just like literally ruthlessly driving. He's like smacking and stuff. The one of the funniest parts is he goes to try to drift, and he sees like a hanging pig because they're in the kind of like a farmer's market, and there's a hanging
yeah
dead pig, and he smokes it, and it stews windows down, and it just like
sprays blood all over him.
splatters all over.
And
And
Leslie Chow just laughs and he's
yeah,
like,
and he's
that's what I
like,
tried to do.
yeah, he's like, "Ah, whoops." Yeah, so then they keep like coming up, and like he takes one motorcycle out, and then the other motorcycle gets close and shoots in the window, and they duck, and they shoot the monkey. I thought that was sad.
It is kind of
It
sad.
was obviously an accident, but yeah, they take out that biker, and then they take the monkey to the vet. And earlier we forgot to mention this: the monkey is a chain smoking monkey. It smokes a lot of cigarettes, and they put it in front of the vet with a little basket, and they're like, "Well, they'll take good care of you." And the monkey's looking at him with like sad eyes, and they go, "Oh, I'm sorry." Puts a cigarette in his mouth and lights it for him. He's like, "There you go. Just take deep breaths of this cigarette, monkey. You'll be okay." I was like,
Oh.
"What?"
That is not good.
So after they find out that they were at a strip club, they go there, and they're fucking guy who was Eddie in the first one. He's Samir,
Samir.
in a same actor, different character, funny but stupid. And he's all, "Where the fuck's Chow? He owes me $6,000 for this gun right here." And Alan picks it up and he goes, oh wow, it almost looks real, and just like blows the whole clip in the sky, and like the music turns off and everyone freaks out, all the strippers and stuff. And he's like, get back to work, turn the music on, what the fuck? And he goes, yeah, it's a little sensitive. And they're like, yeah, the Chow's not here, blah blah blah. And he's like, oh, that motherfucker. He's like, do you recall seeing us last night? He's like, yeah, you guys were over in the corner with Kimmy all night. Yeah, she took good care of you or whatever. You should go talk to Kimmy. And they're like, all right. They go and talk to Kimmy in the back, and one thing led to another, and it turns out Kimmy's a ladyboy, so they quote it, and she's like, yeah, this is where she's like, yeah, a chick like with titties and a dick. This is Bangkok for you. This is Bangkok. That's what she kept saying. He was like, yeah, I took care of you before they found out she had a penis. He was like, yeah, Stu and I did it, and he's like, oh no, I was loyal to my fiance. Oh no, she's like, oh, don't worry, like blah blah blah. He was like, yeah, you just cried the whole time, so I like quickly blew my load, and then you blew your load, and we were good. We blew our load, like we climaxed at the same time. And he was like, what do you mean blew your load? Like your lady load? She's like, no, like with this, and just like whips it out. And I was like, what? Yeah, we climaxed at the same time. He's, yeah, I blew my load inside of you. You blew your load on the floor. And he just like super overly dramatically homophobically like couldn't fathom the fact that that happened.
Yeah, this scene is pretty homophobic. Not as homophobic as the first movie, but like
Yeah.
when Stu finds out that he had a penis inside him, he's like, "Bleh, bleh, bleh," like
Yeah.
trying, like gagging and stuff, and it's just
Yeah.
like,
He
dude,
could have
chill
just
out.
accepted the fact it happened, especially because you knowingly did. Yeah, he was crying the whole time, but it was for other reasons. And I don't remember where in this movie, but at some point, probably at the end, he realizes that like he's got a sick side to him. He's like, I just get crazy sometimes, okay? So then when they leave the strip club, the mobsters show up and steal the monkey.
Yes,
Yeah, we fucked up a couple times about that, but who
it's okay.
knows? Yeah, this is the official time they came.
It's okay that we're forgetting things in the Hangover episode because they forgot the whole movie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know where Doug is right now, or Teddy. So it's the morning that they're gonna meet Paul Giamatti, and they got Chow with them finally. They get up there, and Paul Giamatti's got like two laptops open face to face, like they're about to like do a deal. And he's like, okay, enter the code, Chow. And he does. And then he's like, perfect, done. And Chow goes, you sunk my battleship. And I just loved it because their laptops looked like they were playing Battleship anyways. I love that line so much.
Yeah, and then it turns out that Paul Giamatti is not a criminal,
Yeah, a
but a
fucking
cop.
helicopter comes up, people from all around surround him with just guns. And it was just like a holy shit, they got Chow.
And Zhao has a good line where he's like, "You sons of bitches, you sold me out."
And they literally didn't know though. So they're like, no, 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 no. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, they're like trying to apologize to Chow. I like their relationship with Chow.
Oh,
Like you
yes.
said, like he's like maybe the worst person in these movies,
Yeah.
but like
And
they all just keep going back to him.
but it's like an every time he's around, everyone tolerates him. But Alan loves the guy.
Yeah,
He messages Alan all the time,
yeah,
which you'll find out more in the third one. But yeah, so they still don't know where Teddy is because the whole thing was, yeah, bring me Chow and I'll give you Teddy because the bad guy. And he goes, I'm sorry, yeah, I'm a cop. We learned Teddy was missing and we just used that to get you guys to bring us Chow. They're like, wait, you don't actually have Teddy? And they're like, no. So they went to like some little ringy ding drink shop or something, and Alan's playing Pac-Man, and they're just chilling there. And he
Mrs.
goes,
Pac-Man.
yeah, and he goes to call Tracy and to say like, we fucked up real good. And Stu's sitting there, and he's on the phone, he's saying everything, and power goes out, and Stu's like, hey, Alan, I have a question. He goes, I'm really busy over here. Oh, that was before the power went out. But he's like, I'm really busy over here. Don't talk to me. Power goes out, machine turns off. He's all pissed. And Stu realizes this power
Yeah,
went out. He's like,
I think he goes, "I spent 14 quarters on that," or something like that.
power goes out, and Stu's like, wait, I know where Teddy is. Because he asks him, he's like, how many power outages happen? Because remember, I said he knows all those facts, and he's like,
Yep.
yeah, like 1,500 a year or whatever. So they rush back, and the whole time he's like, yeah, So Teddy probably lost his finger, put in a thing of ice, a cup of ice, wakes up and it's not ice anymore, goes up to the 15th floor, power goes out, boom, I know where he is. And they see the elevator stuck on the 10th floor and they run up there and pry it open and Teddy's laying in there.
Yeah, they get Teddy back, but he still lost a finger and it ruined his life because even though he didn't like playing the violin, which we didn't mention earlier, he plays violin. Even though he
Cello.
didn't cello, whatever. Even though he doesn't like playing cello,
Viola?
whatever.
I don't know what it is. An upright. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Anyways, even though he didn't like doing that, he was very talented at it, and it
Yes.
probably would have brought him success in his future. And now he's probably going to work at a Clinky Cleaners because he's got
Yeah.
no fucking finger.
It's possible. But he did say, like, it made it seem like I was normal for a night. He was like excited because his dad was like pedestal, pedestal, pedestal.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, even though I like woke up without a finger and didn't know where I was and I was trapped in the elevator and everything, it's like I woke up happy. And it was just like, oh,
That's sad.
yeah. And they're like, oh shit, how do we get back to the wedding? It's like about to happen. And Teddy's like, oh, we used Child's speedboat. He's like, what? And he's like, yeah. Yeah, and it cuts back to the wedding, and they're all like, literally, the father is yelling at everyone, like, no wedding, get the fuck out of here, like, go. And then
Off
Doug
in the
sees
distance,
Doug looks up and he goes, wait.
what's that? And they look off into the distance and they're like, oh my God, everyone get back. And Alan, being Alan,
Oh
drives the
my
fucking
god.
boat onto the island and like it flies up and almost runs people over in the wedding, destroys chairs.
Yeah. And
And Alan's just like, that
as
was
they're
awesome.
as they're coming across the way, Alan, he's like, yeah, I grew up on the docks. I know how to drive. I'm gonna drive. And Phil at some point was like, he had a question for him. He's like, hey, Alan, blah blah blah. And he goes, refer to me as captain. He's like, yeah, okay. Blah 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 blah. Captain. He goes, aye aye, first matey, or something like that. Like, he's like, I only respond to captain.
I love this. They're telling him to stop. They're like, Alan, slow down. He's like, no, I got this. He just
Yeah.
drives up right up onto the land.
Yeah, he's like, I know what I'm doing.
But then Mike Tyson's there at the wedding. He sings a song,
Well,
and
that's at the end. So like they pull
wow,
up, dad's all fucking mad at you, and he goes, no, remember how you called me that boring pudding and then boring rice pudding? Well, I'm not. He goes, I got demon inside me. And Phil Alan goes,
he
yeah,
got semen in him
he
too.
does have semen inside him. He goes, no, I said demon. Well, you do have semen inside you too. He goes, shut up. He thought he said semen. He's like, no, I said demon. And everyone looked at him kind of like, what?
Yeah,
And then his dad's like he's kind of impressed, even though he's a Mike Tyson tattoo on his face now. He's like, all right.
yeah. The
And they're
tattoo's
standing up.
wild.
They're standing up at the altar, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna get this tattoo removed immediately. She goes, or I could get used to it. And he's like, what? She's like, yeah, but for now, let's change sides. I don't want to stare at that thing.
I like that they didn't bring the tattoo back for the third
Yeah,
though.
I agree. It was scarred, which I mean, it was a gnarly tattoo.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then you said Mike Tyson was there. Yeah, because Alan was like, I got you guys a gift. And then boom, some dancers show up. And fucking Mike Tyson comes out and sings with his goddamn beautiful voice, which is a total joke. And
yes.
it was a song about Bangkok. And then he was like, yeah, it was going to be with this other song, but I don't remember what that line was. Then it cuts over to them chilling, and it's just like, man, thanks for coming, Mike. That was great. And he's like, yeah, thanks, man. Blah, blah, blah. And then Teddy's like, hey, I found my cell phone. It died. And he's like, yeah, but I charged it. And there's some photos on it. And then Stu's like, no, let's not look at those. He goes, come on. And Mike Tyson goes, it's me, Mike Tyson. We're like, we have to look at these.
Me, Mike Tyson.
And they're like, all right, fine. One time, then we delete them. Same fucking thing as the last time. They all gather around and they're just all, oh, God. And then it shows the photos at the end. And yeah,
My last note is the ending is the same as the first.
same goddamn thing.
Yeah, this whole movie's the same. Like,
Yeah. And literally, because I've never seen the second or third, I was like, all right, I wonder what the third one's about. And we'll get to that here in a second.
yeah,
Any other comments about this movie?
yeah. I actually just found this little fun fact. This is what Zach Galifianakis said in July of 2010. Oh, sorry. This is what Zach Galifianakis said in an interview in July of 2009 about the sequel. He said, Well, I think we're going to Thailand. The problem with Hangover 2 is that we have to live up with what we did, which is very difficult. So we get, I think, kind of kidnapped. It has nothing to do with the bachelor party. We're definitely not doing that again, but we do end up in an exotic location. That's all I know. They did the exact same thing. They did the bachelor party. They did the exact same thing.
Same exact.
Yeah.
You could literally switch the names. Like this was Hangover, and the first one was Hangover Part II, and no one would know the difference.
Yeah, except for I think that they do callbacks in this one.
Yeah, slightly.
Yeah.
I mean, right on the poster says the Wolfpack is back.
Yeah. And people would be like, why is this one called Hangover Part 2? But you're telling me it's the first one.
No, I said switch the names. Anyways,
Oh.
yeah, I give it a 4-star just because it's entertaining. Like I do agree it's not as good as the first one, but star wise, fuck it.
I give it 3 stars because I think if you looked at it by itself, it would be a better movie. But because it's already a sequel to, well, it is a sequel
Right,
to The Hangover, and I think it's a bad sequel because it just does the same thing. And
right.
like by itself, it's a totally fine movie. Like I think it's totally fine.
Yeah,
But
like
because
if
it's a
it
sequel,
was like if it was the first Hangover, you'd be like, good movie.
yeah. But because it's a sequel and they just copied the same thing, it loses a point for me.
Sure, that's all right. I feel like that was like the most in-depth walkthrough of a movie we've ever given.
Yeah, we talked about The Hangover too for a long time.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just started reading the plot and wanted to tell people what happened. And up next is The Hangover Part III. Came out in 2013.
Yeah, this one had a budget of $103 million, the highest budget of them all, and it only grossed 362 million. So this one had a steep decline in profits. And this one has a 20% on Rotten Tomatoes and only a 44 audience score.
So I assume the budget was just because, like you said, oh, here comes another one, same exact fucking thing.
Yep.
Which actually this one's not, which is cool.
Yes,
But
totally different.
but the ratings just goes to show that people still didn't like it. It's like they didn't pay much because they didn't want it to be the same, but then they were upset it wasn't the same. Like,
Yeah, I was
what
gonna
the fuck is
say it's
this?
that exact situation of where
Yeah,
people saw the second one and went, "Well, you made the same exact movie," and then they went, "Okay, well, we'll make something different for the third," and then people went, "Well, what the hell? This isn't The Hangover."
right.
But it's like,
Yeah.
what do you want?
Yeah, and on this poster it says the end, just so you all know. So there's no Hangover 4 that anyone knows of or plans on.
Yeah, I don't think they could make a Hangover 4.
No. Synopsis?
Sure, I can do it. So basically, this one, it starts with Alan, and he has gone off the deep end. And people are like, hey, we need to have an intervention for this guy because he's fucking nuts. And his dad dies mostly because of his antics. And so they decide to send him to like a rehab facility to get better. And instead of just shipping him down there, the Wolfpack decides that they're going to drive him, take him on a road trip. But on the road trip, they get kidnapped by Black Doug, and they meet Marshall from who's mentioned in the first movie. And
Oh man, Marshall's gonna be so mad at me.
yep. So they meet Marshall, and he wants Leslie Chow because Leslie Chow owes him a ton of money, and so they have to go get Chow again, otherwise they're gonna get murdered. And also they kidnap Doug, which is a good way to get Justin Bartha out of the movie because apparently they hate that guy.
Wait, Doug kidnapped Doug this time?
Black Doug took White Doug.
Uh,
Hey, knock it off with that shit.
yeah, stop calling me that. Starts out.
Yes.
It was really cool. It was during a prison riot, and there's just like freaking havoc going down in this prison.
Yes.
Fucking Leslie Chow escapes through the fucking hole in the wall behind a poster.
Yes. My first note is movie opening is just wild. Chow copies the Shawshank and Alan has a giraffe.
Yeah, so he gets down this fucking path through the hole, then he goes through these waterways, and then water flushes him out, and it's like a freaking 70-foot drop or something, maybe more, maybe less, who knows. But that was like right when the intro started, and it was kind of honestly almost Eastbound and Downy. Like with the water behind him and it like slow mode stopped kind of. Like I was expecting like boom, boom, Eastbound and Down, you know what I'm talking about? Because every intro it like pauses on something crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it was like a fucking super action movie where he's just like kind of almost karate chopping, kicking with water behind him. It was kind of cool. And then it goes crazy from here. yeah. So the next two parts, I think, is just
It's
this.
just insane.
The next part, this would turn someone off from the movie. Like,
Yeah.
obviously depends on who you are, but like I immediately, like, I was down to keep watching because I just don't care. But I can see where somebody would be like, no, they took it too far and turn it off.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. It's the Alan stuff, right?
Yeah, the two
Yeah.
things with Alan. Yeah,
So Alan's introduction in this movie is he's driving on the interstate or the highway or whatever with a giraffe in a trailer behind him.
yeah,
And he's towing it.
an open trailer, so the draft from shoulders up is just chilling.
Yes. He's driving and he goes under a bridge and the bridge has it says like clearance this height or whatever
Yeah,
and
11 feet.
the giraffe we get a nice close up of the giraffe's face and he goes, "Huh?" and then smashes into the bridge, kills the
Yeah.
giraffe, decapitates it. The head of the giraffe goes flying into a school bus, takes out a school bus, injures a
Well,
bunch of
the head
children.
goes into a family trip. Like there's like all these family cars. Like all these kids are looking. They're like, "Mommy, a giraffe. Where do you think that's going?" And then it like lands right in their windshield. And yeah, it turns into a multi-car freeway pileup,
Yeah.
like a 15 cop car pileup, but not.
Yeah, and then that leads to Jeffrey Tambor. He is like, "You know what, Alan? You're my favorite son that I have because you're my only son, but at the same time, you're a fucking little dick, and I've had it with you." And Alan's like, "Well, whatever, Dad." And he puts on some headphones and starts listening to music. And in the background over his shoulder, we watch Jeffrey Tambor die.
Yeah. And he's just sitting there jamming My Life by Billy Joel, kind of like, fuck you, Dad, it's my life.
Yeah, pretty great. I like that they killed a character. I think it's pretty fun. The
Yeah.
draft was needless and senseless and didn't need to happen.
Yeah. And then
Um,
at the fucking funeral, he gets up
yes.
there and
Oh my God.
he goes, yeah, I'm really sad my dad died.
He was
I
my best friend.
I can think of so many more people I wish that would die before him, like
My
my
mom.
mother. Oh my god. Like I said earlier in the second one, he fucking hates his mom.
He calls him and his dad soulmates. And he even says that like he's like, yeah, the last thing my dad said to me is never change. It's like just the complete opposite of what he told him.
Yeah.
Yeah, my note about this is the funeral speech is hilarious.
Oh my gosh. Well, right when that happened, I paused and told Kaylee about it. I was just like, he just said he wishes his mom would have died instead. It cuts to his mom, and she's just like hysterical, like just bawling.
Yeah. It even cuts to like Tracy and Doug after he says that, and they're just like, what the hell? But again, nobody in this movie ever tells Alan to just shut the fuck up.
No, they just roll with it.
Because like if that was at like a funeral for somebody we knew,
Yeah.
you think someone would just go, "Hey man, sit down."
Yeah. Well, I'd take him away from the mic or something. Then it cuts over to Bill and Stu and Doug talking, and they keep looking back at him, and he's filling the grave in with dirt, like he's doing all the manual labor. It's
He
just like,
yells at somebody who tries to help him.
yeah, it's like okay, buddy. And that was part of their like, yeah, see, he's kind of crazy. He's off his ADHD medication.
Yep.
We need to have intervention.
Yeah. And so they do end up giving him an intervention.
Yeah,
And
they
I
get
wrote
there.
that I think the intervention is very funny because Nico's
Yeah,
there.
yeah, they got Nico. They walk in like, who's this? He's like, it's Nico, and he's like, what's up, guys?
And they're like, "Oh yeah, we remember you." And
Yeah,
then they also there's some like 8-year-old kid and
yeah,
they're like, "Who the
Timothy.
hell's this?" She's like, "Oh, this is Timothy from across the street. It's one of Alan's friends that he hangs out with." Or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. She's like, yeah, they swim together. And then also this is the maid or whatever from, and he walks in. He's just like, hey guys, what's going on? Oh, hey Nico. Then he goes, hey Timothy, a little cold for a swim, isn't it? And they're like, you need to sit down. And they're like,
Also, did Alan fuck the maid?
no, I don't think so because she's just like, I've cleaned after you for 30 years, seen some things I really shouldn't have. So like, she's probably seen all his crusty socks and everything. Like, no, I think it was more of I've seen more than I've ever watched in my life.
Okay, I was a little confused, I
And then
guess.
as she's saying, like, you know, she literally says, you know, I've cleaned up after you for 30 years. I've seen more things than I've ever wanted to see. Like, he's just not having it. So he just like spills a cup of water and she goes to get up to clean it and everyone stops and like, no, just no.
Yep. Which again, He's so rude.
So rude. So they're like, yeah, we're gonna take you to this rehabilitation facility in Arizona. And at some point they say the name of it. I don't remember. It was like something Meadows or whatever. He was, that sounds fun. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it either.
Yeah. And they're taking Phil's minivan down and they're just having a good old time. And they get rammed by a fucking rental truck. And that's where they see all these dudes in pig masks, just like chasing them because they get rammed enough that they get out and they start running. And that was one actually cool camera angle where Alan was running, and it was that like still of Alan, like he wasn't bobbing, he was just running straight, and everything behind him was
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, and then they're like, "What do you want from us?" Whatever, and they're like, "Wait, you're Black Doug? Like, what the hell? Why are you here? Like, what the hell?"
I like when they call him Black Doug here too, because he goes again with the Black Doug shit.
Yeah,
It's like, knock it off. So yeah, Marshall is played by John Goodman, and John Goodman is one of my favorite actors of all time. I think he's fantastic in everything, and I think he does a really good job in this movie. He is downright scary at times,
yeah,
and there's a funny part where so Marshall tells them that he's like, I'm kidnapping your friend White Doug, and I'm gonna hold him hostage so that you bring me Chow. And Stu, or sorry, and Alan says to Marshall, "Can you take Stu instead?" Just
yeah,
further proving that Alan hates Stu,
yeah.
but
Super
loves
funny.
Phil,
Yeah.
idolizes Phil.
Oh, he does. Yeah, so he wants Chow because John Goodman was trying to like rip off a $42 million gold brick heist, and fucking Chow stole half of it. So he's like, I want my fucking gold back.
Yes.
And they're like, well, we don't fucking know where Chow is. Like, he's in prison. And Alan's like,
Yeah.
I email him all the time or
Well,
whatever.
he goes, actually, guys, I got this message a few days ago. I didn't know what it mean what it meant, but now I'm kind of thinking. And so it's like, hey, fat boy, let's meet up or something when you're in town. Ciao. And he's like, well, I thought it was ciao, like, the French saying goodbye. Like, it's not even spelled the same, Alan.
Yeah, he says, and this is one of my favorite quotes. He goes, yeah, I thought it was like the goodbye, like ciao, arrivederci, Sabaro, Papa John's. In that order exactly. So those four things: Sabaro, Papa John's. And they're like, no, this is Chow. So Phil takes it and he's like, well, I'll just message him. So he does. And he's like, oh, he wants to meet in Tijuana. And he's like one of them, I think Stu was like, oh, great. And he goes, no, that's great. That's like not that far from here. Let's go.
And yeah, I think they say a 3 hour drive from where they
Yeah.
were at.
And Alan yells shotgun, which is definitely a new thing for Alan. And he does it throughout the movie. And it's just like, Alan, calm down.
Yes. Alan has attention issues. He needs to be the center of attention.
Yeah. Yeah. But Chow did say in the email, like, come alone. So, like, they meet him at a bus stop, and Alan's sitting there doing nothing all by himself. And a fucking bus goes by, and then like many times in many movies, a bus goes by and boom, he's sitting there
Yes.
next to him, and it's like there's Chow. And Alan turns to him, he's like, "Hey, Chow," and he goes, "No, like look ahead, don't bring attention to us." And he goes, "But give me some sugar," and wants a kiss on the cheek.
And
So
then
funny.
and Alan kisses him.
Yeah.
Oh, so great.
And then he's like, "You're alone, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course." And then he sees Phil and Stu in the van a little ways away, and he just charges at him with a rock. And they're like, "Oh shit, hide!" And just like smashes the windshield. And he's like, "Why are you here? You're here to like kill me? You're here to fuck me over?" He goes, "No, we miss you. We miss you." And they put his hand, and he goes, "You miss Chow?" Puts his hand against his hand out through the glass. Like it was like a moment. It was just like, oh my, yeah,
I really like the scene that comes after this where they it's they go to dinner with Chow and he figures out that they're lying to him or whatever. And so he ends up singing karaoke and he sings the song Hurt by Nine Inch Nails.
he's so good.
And
It's
the,
horrible.
it's so funny. I think every song in this franchise is just so good. Like the first one has Stu song about the tiger, the second has Allentown, this one has Chow singing Hurt. Like just
Yeah,
so funny.
so funny. He's like, yeah, I know where that gold is. It's in my old villa. Like, I used to have properties here, all over the world, and they all got seized when I went to jail. And he's like, yeah, let's just go there. And like, the whoever owns it isn't there. It's just a fucking vacation home, and no one's there on the Sunday. All there is some dogs. We'll just like give them some of this medication and some burgers, and we'll be good.
Yes. The medication they get from Stu has to use his Stu has to go get it because he can write a prescription because he's a doctor. But he almost doesn't get it because he looks insane.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like red flag after red flag after red flag. The
Yeah,
dude's
he
just
goes in,
like,
his shirt's all like unbuttoned.
yeah,
He's so sweaty and dirty. He's got blood on his face. He's like,
yeah,
his eyes are like bulging out of his skull. He's like jittery and like looking around and
yeah, because he didn't want to do this. And
yeah.
dude's like, well, based on what you're asking for and the quantity and how you look, this is all red flags. He goes, I'm gonna have to call the prescribing doctor. He goes, I am the prescribing doctor. He goes,
He's like,
and there's
that's
another red
another red
flag.
flag. Yep.
And he goes, Dad, I think we got a hot one out here or a live one. And he comes back to the car and he goes, well, I didn't get what I wanted, but I got this instead. And they throw the burgers over, and the dogs get knocked out pretty fast. And the only way in without setting the alarm is the fucking dog's collars are like open the dog door. That was clever.
Yeah, and Stu and
Stu and Leslie
Chow
go, yeah,
have to go
and,
in
well,
because they're the only ones that can fit in the doggy door.
yeah. Alan's like, well, I'll go, and I think Phil looks at Stu and goes, "Do you want to tell him?" And he goes, "You're too fat." And he goes, "Okay, okay, okay." They go in and Stu's about to stand up. He goes, "No, stay low like a dog." He goes, "Okay." He goes in front of him, and Chow just buries his face in his ass. He goes, "Oh, what? I'm saying hello like a dog."
And then Chow starts eating dog food out of the bowl too.
Yeah, some like wet ass dog food. And he goes, he comes up and is all over his face. He goes, "Oh, it's so gross." And then he keeps eating it, and he's just like over there, like, "Oh."
And Stu's just like, Chow, what the fuck?
And then they had to clip two wires at the same time across the whole house. And they're like,
And
there was red, green, and blue, or red, green, and yellow. He goes, "All right, which color are we gonna do?" And he goes, and Chow yells, "The gray one."
yeah, the light gray one. And then he's like, I have these colors. And Chow goes, I have dark gray, light gray, and medium gray. And he's like, wait, what? And then
And
he comes over to look and he goes, Chow, these are the same colors that I have. And Chow goes, oh, my bad. I'm colorblind.
he goes, "Okay, well, what color is this?" He goes, "That's green." He goes, "Okay, well then, what's this? Red." He goes, "Yeah, okay." So, and then Stu was like, "Yeah, so cut the one in your left hand." He goes, "Which one's that?" "I'm also dyslexic." So he's colorblind and dyslexic. How does he get so far in life?
Well,
So he's
I
so
don't know.
yeah, so he's like, "Yeah, just okay, don't let go of this one. This is gonna be the one." And he goes over there and he goes, "Okay, so ready? You still got that one?" He goes, "I don't know, fuck it." Luckily, they got the same one, and it's just like, oh my god.
Yeah, this
And
scene is very funny. It's just,
yeah,
it's nonstop.
that might be the best scene right there.
Yeah, it might be.
And they go in the basement. He's like, "Yeah, it's behind that brick wall." He's like, "Here, let's." Chow's like, "Yeah, I'll bust it open with the sledgehammer." And he tries and just like immediately bounces off, and
He
he's kind of like in
pushes up the
pain.
wall and he's like, oh.
Yeah, and Phil goes, "Oh, I'll get it." And he goes, "Oh yeah, you, me, it doesn't matter. Same thing, same thing." And they busts open the hole, gets all the gold. They freaking train it upstairs by tossing it to each other. And then Leslie's the only one upstairs. He goes, "We got it. That's ill. You're sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Ha ha!" Shuts the door and locks him down there.
And then it
And
turns
then
out that they didn't rob Chow's old house. Chow had them rob Marshall again. So he
yeah,
stole the original gold, and now he stole the other portion of the gold too.
yeah. And when he left, he triggered the alarm, so they got arrested. And they're at the police station, and they're sitting there, and the guy goes, "No felonies, one arrest, Las Vegas. No felonies, one arrest, Las Vegas. And is this true?" And hands the packet to Alan, and it's like a fucking novel. And he flips through and he goes, "Oh yeah, masturbating on a public bus. Yep, that was me. Oh, causing a ruckus in Cracker Barrel. Yep, that's me." And it's just like, oh my god. The dude gets up for a phone call and comes back and goes, "Well, it's your lucky day. You're free to go. There's a car outside." And they're like, "What?" And it's super mysterious. They get taken somewhere. They go inside, and it's Marshall. Marshall's dude's like, "Welcome back." And then Marshall's got a few words to talk to him.
He explains that they robbed his house, like I said, and then yeah, and you guys fucking killed my dogs, and they're like, no, we didn't kill your dogs, we only knocked them out. And he's like, well, no, Chow, when he escaped, came back and snapped my dogs' necks.
Yeah, and they were just like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, Chow, what a fucking horrible dude.
Yeah. And then someone said something to set Marshall off that you would think he's about to shoot Doug, like White Doug.
Yeah.
And he just shoots Black Doug and he falls in the pool. And Alan pisses his pants and he goes, "Someone go up to my room and get him some sweatpants." And he goes, "I'm a 44 Slim. You can bring me options." I thought that was a funny line.
And then right after Black Doug gets killed, Alan to the other two, to Phil and Stu, he goes, "Hey, do you guys want to get some food? Are you hungry?" It's like,
Yeah, yeah. Phil's like, no, Stu's like, I can't believe that just happened. He got shot, then he fell in the water, and he was just like floating there, all dead and everything. And Phil goes, yeah, I'm kind of sick. Yeah, and Alan goes, you guys want to get some food?
it's like, Jesus, Alan.
So they're sitting there talking about the dead people and everything, and they're like, man, Phil's like, man, I wish I had my phone. And he's like, oh, it's still in the van. He goes, oh, it's in the van. Chow has the van. That means your phone's with Chow. And Alan, well, at first Alan's like, oh, it's like he's in the van. And he's like, no, we have other things to worry about. And then Stu or somebody was like, no, but that means Chow. And Alan goes, oh, he already said it doesn't matter or whatever. And he's like, shut up. And he goes, yeah, I gotta find my phone thing. And he's like, okay, give me your phone. What's your password? And he goes, hey Phil. And he goes, yeah. And he goes, no, that's my password. Hey Phil. He's like, okay. And then the bit about the apps.
Yes. Yeah, where Stu, he basically says something to Alan about losing his phone, and Alan's like, "You're losing my phone would be the worst possible thing, Stu. I have over 60 apps on that phone. Do you know how long it would take me to re-download all those apps?"
End of the world scenario right there. So they track it to Vegas, and then when they arrive, Stu's all, I swore I'd never come back here, blah, blah, blah. And the van's parked, like just parked on the street, and they go in, and they're like, oh, do you find anything? He's like, no, just the phone. And he's like, anything else? And Alan just goes, no, and the gold's gone too. It's like, well, obviously. And they were all, why did he come here? And
And
like
then they turn,
pans up a little, and it's a cash for gold sign.
yeah. And so they go in, and Melissa McCarthy is the woman who runs the Cash for Gold store slash pawn store. And immediately, she's a very weird lady. And Alan falls in love at first sight. And Melissa McCarthy's mom comes out in a wheelchair and is like,
A
"I'm
scooter.
hungry. I have to eat." And she's like, "Shut the fuck up, mom. You will eat when I tell you." And
Yeah, she goes, you better put that thing in reverse.
she's like, "But I have to eat at certain times with my pills. The doctor said so." And she's like, "I won't give you any pills or whatever if you don't shut the fuck up." And she like backs out of there, and, and then Alan laughs and goes, "Wow, she's rude." And Melissa McCarthy's like, "This is why no one likes you, mom."
Yeah, and then Alan joins in. He goes, yeah, shut your trap or something like that. And she
Yeah,
goes, you're smart to Alan.
it's just weird.
Yeah, and they have a whole little like, because she said no, I'm not going to tell you squat to Phil and Stu, and then like she's like letting Alan know everything, and then so like intervene, and she's like, I'm not talking to you. And start talking to Phil again. God damn it, start talking to Alan again, and afterwards, Alan picks up a sucker and starts, I don't know, trying to be sexy with it and puts it in her mouth, and she crunches it. And he goes, we need to go. Well, he runs into a bunch of musical instruments and they fall everywhere. And she goes, I'll get it. I'll get it. I'll get it.
Yeah. Also, in this scene, I wrote this note. CM Punk is in Hangover 3 because when they first get to the Cash for Gold place, Melissa McCarthy's watching WWE Raw on the TV, and it's a match, and it's CM Punk versus John Cena.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I'd have to check when this movie was filmed, but I think I could find the match.
So yeah, what Melissa McCarthy tells Alan is that Chow sold one gold bar that should have been $400,000. He accepted 18,000. Hands him a business card for an escort service that she gave him because that's what he asked for, and they're not gonna say shit. So they get a hold of Heather Graham's character Jade, and she makes a few phone calls. And she's like, oh, yeah, he's barricaded in a penthouse suite of Caesar's Palace. Tons of ladies going in and out, drugs everywhere. You don't want to go. Like, it's not good business. And they get on the ground floor outside and they look up and they just see fucking strobe lights out the window. And they're like, that must be him. And
Yes.
they're like, how are we going to get in there?
Yeah, so they go to the roof of the palace, and basically they have to get down onto the balcony where Chow is. So Phil comes up with the idea of using a bunch of different sheets and tying them together, and then climbing down the sheets and dropping down. And so Phil goes first, of course, and he's able to do it because he's
I thought
Phil.
I thought there's a cool scene right before that because like he's on his balcony having a cigarette and they're up there tying it up and they look over and they're right above Chow having a cigarette right now.
Yeah.
And just the camera angle was cool looking down on him, and then it cut to like him leaning on the balcony, and then flicks a cigarette or something. and then cuts back to above where he walks back in. And I just thought that was cool cinematography right there. Well, then, like you said, yeah, Phil makes it down, no problem.
Yeah. And then Alan, he starts to climb down, and of course, he gets into some troubles. The sheet falls, he lands on the letters of the Caesar's Palace. He's stuck there. Phil's like, you gotta jump, I'll catch you. Well, instead of just falling straight down, Alan kicks off and nearly falls off the side of the building, but happens to just land on his feet on the edge of the building and almost fall forward. He's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And so Phil grabs the back of his shirt and has to yank him onto the. But I wrote a note about this. Phil and Alan climbing down the palace is goofy and dumb.
Especially that part where he lands there and almost falls and
Yeah,
saves.
because
I
no way
immediately
that would have
thought,
happened.
exactly. I thought that's unrealistic. Yeah, and then the next part, it's almost like freaking thriller, like scary, because like they walk in and it's like a steady strobe light, and it's just like like messing with their minds. They're like looking over here, looking over there, and like all of a sudden, like almost like a jump scare, but not a scare. Like someone's in front of him, and like, "Have you seen my?" And it's like you don't even hear everything she says. It's like what? And it's like, "Have you?" And then it just disappears, and there's chicks over there, chicks over there. Fucking Chow from behind with a gun,
Yep.
just like starts smacking him, and then he actually gets the gun out of Chow's hands, tells Alan to pick it up, and Alan's just like slow and doesn't know what to do with it, I guess. So Chow dips into a room, and they go in the room, and there's no strobe lights in there, but there's topless chicks everywhere. Yeah, he goes to the balcony and he threatens to like jump off, and they all think he's gonna kill himself, but he's like super fucking coked up, which he straight up says or something, and he just jumps off, and boom, pops a parachute, and Stu is still on the ground. Their mode of transportation this whole time is the limousine that they got picked up with from the cop station. So he's cruising this limousine, like trying not to lose him. And they're like trying to get him with this limousine, and he's like, all right, and he's flying around. When he goes over those fountains, he's like, "This is so fucking cool," or something like
Yeah.
that.
I
It was
uh
super
I wrote
cool.
about this scene. Chow using the parachute is a bit over the top
So
because
over the top.
it's just like, come on.
Well, especially like before he jumped, like he had nothing on his back, like, or he had no time to put it there. Yeah, so he had like nothing on his back, or at least didn't have time to. Like it totally looked like he had nothing because he was wearing like a white suit. And then after he jumps, he had like a giant ass fucking black backpack on that the
Yeah.
parachute came out of. Like it just didn't add up. And like you said, over the top. Like he just went on forever and happens to land right
Well,
on the.
he goes behind a building and Stu's like, I lost him. I lost him. I can't
Oh
find
yeah,
him.
yeah, yeah.
So he turns around the limo and tries to go around a corner or whatever. And then all of a sudden he hears a thud and Leslie's in the back of the limo.
No, he's on the windshield.
Yeah, he lands on the windshield. My
But
fault.
like as he's floating down towards the limo, like Phil doesn't even know he's there. Sorry, God damn it. Stu doesn't even know he's there.
Yeah.
And Leslie goes, I didn't think this one through, or something like that. Because he's like floating right before he's like, ah shit, I'm about to land on this car. And then right on the windshield, smack. Panic driving because he can't fucking see. Then the parachute moves and there's oncoming traffic and they turn and he hits fucking fire hydrant and Chow goes flying and hits the ground and he calls the guys and he goes, I think I killed Chow. And immediately I just thought, he's fucking coked up. He's not dead. Like
You do a bump,
he's
your heart
he's
stops, you're
he's
fine.
proved this before. He's fucking fine. He goes out there and he's all slapping. He's like, "Are you okay?" And he coughs a little and he's like darn near paralyzed is how he's acting. He's like, "Will you rub my balls, make sure I'm okay?"
Yeah.
So then Stu picks him up, throws him in the trunk of the limo, and then they go to meet Marshall.
Yes, and they're gonna turn Chow over to Marshall. They give the money to Marshall, and then Marshall takes a gun and just unloads 1,001 bullets into the trunk at Chow,
This is only probably like 9, but yeah.
killing Chow yet again.
Yeah, and this is kind of a good line. I don't know it very well to quote it, but the idea of it. He's like, I thought you were just gonna talk to him, and he goes, no, he's evil. Like if you tried talking to evil, that's a battle like lost. You just need to just kill evil, or something along those lines. So he's like, I'm not gonna even bother talking to him
Yeah,
because he'll win. So just kill him. So yeah, and then fucking Chow pops out the sunroof and just blah blah takes out Marshall and his buddy.
Chow, so resourceful.
Yeah. And then Chow goes and aims at Phil, like about to fucking kill him. And Alan steps in the way and he goes, "Get out of the way, fatty." And he's like, "No, if you're going to shoot Phil, you're going to shoot me." And then Phil's like, "Get out of the way, Alan." He goes, "No, I'm having a stare competition." And then he's still aiming the gun, and Chow blinks, and because he blinks, he puts the gun down, and you can totally tell like Alan just knows that Chow is having a stare competition. Like they unspokenly just like this is gonna make him stop aiming the
Yeah.
gun, and he's just like, and they're like, "How did he get out?" And Alan's like, "I unlatched the seat between the trunk and the cab." And you left him his gun. I didn't think that went through. Funny part when they talk to Heather Graham's character, they meet fucking Carlos, like 5 years later. Actually, what was his name? Tyler, you said? And he's just as ugly as he was as a baby. Same guy, same little kid. And he asks Alan, "Are you my real dad?" And it's a moment of silence, and he goes, "Yes."
Awful.
Yeah.
Poor Alan.
And then they have a moment, and then like at the end, he like gives him a huge ass hug and stuff. And yeah, I just thought that's
My
notable.
favorite line from that scene is Alan tells him, he goes, at one point in time, your name was Carlos.
And like he basically tells him like it's a better name. It would have suited you better when you're older or something. Like I
Yeah.
don't remember
Yeah, he's
exactly,
like,
but
you look more like a Carlos or something.
yeah, yeah. And at the end, because that was like 6 a.m., so like the sun's about to come up, but then it finally comes up, and Chow's just like, "Well, thanks for all this. Like, here, take one brick of gold." And everyone's like, "No, I don't fucking want that. What are you doing?" He's like, "All right, well, I guess this is it."
Yeah, and Alan even ends his friendship with Chow.
Yeah, goes for a handshake, and he does the old psych, fix
Yep.
my hair, and Chow just goes, "You're cold as ice." And then they leave, and they drop Alan off at the pawn shop, and they're just like, "All right, see you later, buddy." And he walks in, and he's like, "I want to take you to this Eiffel Tower in Paris, France, over there, like down the road for dinner." And she goes, and she like denies,
Yeah.
and he's like heartbroken for 2 seconds.
And then she's like, I've been kicked out of or I'm banned from every place in the town or whatever.
Yeah, from like being too crazy. From like, she's like, "Yeah, I was in there with my mom, and my mom split tens." And he goes, "Ooh." And she goes, "Yeah, I had some choice words. I got in trouble." And he's like, "Yeah, I don't blame you." She goes, "But I'll take you to this one place that's got the best ribeye in town, or best sirloin or whatever." And he's like, "Sounds good to me." And they do an awkward kiss. And then he just drops trout. She goes, "Whoa, it's kind of straightforward." He goes, "Well, I saw it in a pornography."
And so yeah, right before he goes into the pawn shop, he's no, actually, sorry, let me take that again. And so at the end of the movie, he is with Melissa McCarthy, like they're dating or whatever, and he's hanging out with the Wolfpack, and he's like, "Listen, guys, I know that we're like the best friends or whatever, we hang out all the time, but I have a girlfriend now. Things need to change." And they're like, "Yeah, Alan, we get it. It's cool." And he goes, "So what I propose is that we hang out, like we have a schedule for hanging out." And so he proposes that they get together Tuesdays for bowling and alternating Sundays for general horseplay. That's what he tells them.
That's silly.
I just thought that was very funny. Tuesdays for bowling, alternating Sundays for general horseplay.
Yeah, and they is that part of him resigning from the Wolfpack?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he marries Cassie, and happy ever after for him. He asks the guys right before getting married. He goes, "Top hat or no top hat?" And he goes, "Top hat." And he's got a can. He goes, "You look like Mr. Peanut." And he's like, "Thank you. That's what I was going for." And he goes, "No top hat."
Yeah.
And then the credits start, and then like a little bit later, mid credit scene, it's like a fucking next morning of the next like movie. It's like no,
Yes, and Stu has fake tits and Cassie's there, and I did
yeah,
not like this. Of everything in this
no.
movie, this is my least favorite thing because it's like you didn't need to do this, and again, you ruined Stu's life.
Yeah, because Stu walks out and he's all like, "Yeah, man, last time was crazy, blah blah blah." And well, right before he walks out, he remembers. He's like, Alan's like, "That wedding cake was from Chow," which
Yeah.
obviously means everyone is drugged. Yeah, and they're like, "Look down, Stu," and he's just got giant breasts. And then Chow comes out from the bathroom, butt ass naked, carrying a katana. And
Oh,
also, the monkey drops onto Stu. It was
yes.
just like too much, too fast. And then it was over, and it was just like, okay,
Yeah. Too much.
too much.
It was like they realized it after filming. They're like, "Oh shit, we don't have any hangover stuff in this movie. Oh, I'll just put it in the end."
Yeah, it's like okay.
Yeah, I think that wraps up the Hangover trilogy.
Yeah.
What
Do you have anything more about this last movie? Or
I
that's it?
Don't think so. I
Uh,
think that's all.
yeah, me either. I think that
What's
was good.
your final rating on this one?
I'm just gonna stick with 4 stars. A blanket rating for me for the trilogy. I think
Ah,
as a trilogy, 4 stars.
okay.
Yeah,
As I give this movie 4 stars as well. I think it is better than the second one, even though it has a lower rating around Tomatoes. I think it's better than the second because it's different. And I like that it's like a crime thriller. I like the plot of it. I like that it's not like a straight up comedy. There's like other stuff going on. I like Chow in this movie a lot. I like him a lot more in this one than the second, even though I think he's worse in this one. But yeah, I really like this movie a whole lot. And honestly, there's I think stuff in this that I like more than the first one even.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's
I've
definitely
always
good
liked this
parts for
movie.
sure. Yeah, well, I'm glad you like it.
Yeah,
I think this was fun. I think we might have had the longest conversation about the Hangover trilogy that anyone has ever had that didn't have anything to do with making it.
probably.
And congratulations if you've listened this whole time. Well, that was fun, as I've probably already said.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Well, are you ready?
For what?
Wheel of.
Versus. Yes, I am.
This is a fun part of the podcast where we take a few characters from the movies we just talked about and make them battle to the death. Selected playground style, one at a time, up to 3 this time. We might stick around with 3. We don't want this to be too long, you know.
Yes.
And spin the wheel one at a time, elimination style.
Also, could you imagine 5v5 for Hangover characters? My God.
I had a hard time picking my third, I'll be
Yeah.
honest. All right, are you ready? Tell me who's on your wheel.
Well, I got Alan Garner, Leslie Chow, and the monk. Not
Which
the
monk?
old monk, the
Not
head
the
monk.
wheelchair bound one?
No.
Okay. The head monk that smacked him with a stick.
Yes.
All right, I have Mike Tyson. Sorry, the Mike Tyson, Officer Franklin, Rob Riggle's character, and
I did not
Phil.
know his character's name until you told me.
I saw it on the internet.
Okay, and then Phil.
And then Phil Wennick. All right, I'm spinning.
I will spin also.
All right, I got Bill.
Okay. I got the monk.
It's a
Damn.
good thing you didn't get Alan. This fight would have been sad.
It would have been sad.
Yeah,
I got the monk, and I mean,
you beat Phil in the
I was
movie.
gonna
Like,
say
I mean, it wasn't to the death though. So, like, I mean, I still don't think Phil would win.
no.
But yeah, it'd be like a few fucking stick swacks to the fucking face, and
Yeah,
then
because like
honestly,
the
and
monk
like
would come with the stick.
yeah, no, definitely. And I don't know what all monks know, like the old Bruce Lee, like from 2 inches away, just like kapow. Like I know that's like kung fu of sorts. But
Yeah, he definitely knew
do
some
monks know
martial
that
art.
type of shit?
I mean, he was hit using the stick, so I mean, he
Yeah,
knows
so
some form of
yeah, so
martial
he
arts. I
might
think.
even know that little Bruce Lee, like 2 inches away from you, knock you back 5 feet with. So yeah, he would definitely kill Phil so
Yes,
fast.
agreed. I'll take the
Boom.
point.
Phil's gone. You got a point. Spinning again.
I'm also spinning again.
Who'd you get?
I got Alan.
I got Officer Franklin. So again, back to the movie scenes, and just for fun, you get tased by my tasers quite a bit, and you go down.
Yes,
I also presumably
have a gun.
standard issue. Yep, I have a
Yep,
sidearm, probably handcuffs, taser. I
a
think.
baton.
Yeah, I know you could probably steal my cop car, but I think I could still shoot out your tires or something and tase you. And I
Yeah, but
might
it's
need to tase you
Alan.
a few times. Yeah, and Alan, yeah, he's got some anger issues and rage a little bit.
He doesn't fight anybody.
No, Officer Franklin would definitely take you
Even
out.
in all the scenes where Alan gets beat up, he never fights back.
That is true.
So I chose a
Yeah,
bad character, and I'm definitely gonna lose this now because
that's okay.
my only chance was the monk and Mike Tyson.
Well, so Officer Franklin wins that one, right?
Yeah,
All right, so I take the point there. And last but not least, no matter who wins, which we all know, I still think this is going to be a good fight.
yeah,
It's the Mike Tyson himself
yep. Versus Leslie
versus
Chow.
Leslie Chow.
Yes, Leslie Chow. Let me say this: if you would have got Phil and I would have got Leslie, Leslie would have won. I think.
Oh yeah, with like a fucking tire iron
Yep.
naked to his face. Yeah,
Yeah, but
but like Mike Tyson,
yeah, there's no that I'm even putting up a fight.
he just like bend over. You're just like, nope, I'm done.
Yeah, Ken Young or no, sorry, Leslie Chow is such a small little guy, and he's so weak. He couldn't even, hit the wall with the hammer or whatever. There's
Yeah.
no way he's
I mean, like,
fighting against
even if you
Mike
came in
Tyson.
with a katana or a gun of sorts,
If he had a katana, I think he could maybe have a chance, but he doesn't have the katana except for one scene, so it doesn't
yeah.
count.
Yeah. And he never picked up that Uzi from Samir, so he doesn't ever have that.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely won.
I mean, he does have a good shot. He shot John Goodman, but only from behind.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Mike Tyson would win too.
Yep, 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 yep. You take the point. All right, so you're up now, 8-6.
Haha. Very good. Well, that was a fun wheel versus. I think the fact we shortened it, especially for this episode, because like you said, 5 of the Hangover. Ugh.
Oh my God.
I think that was fun. Fun energy, fast. If
It
you
was.
agree, let us know.
Yeah, we decided we're only gonna do 5v5 for like big time stuff,
Yeah,
like
like
Star Wars or
or the
Marvel or
lion or the
something.
Lion King. Just kidding. What you said.
No.
Well, speaking of big time episodes or small, I don't know. What is the next episode?
Next week's episode is The Incredibles, the two Incredibles movies.
Ah, very cool.
Yes.
And maybe some shorts.
If we have time. Like Jack Jack Attack. That one's really good.
Exactly. Oh, we'll have time. I don't know if the listeners will, but we have time. Do
Oh
you
well.
want to give the email one more time?
Sure. Our
Since we
email
half
is
since we half-ass put it in the middle.
our email is ourdads.ourbrothers@gmail.com. Hit us up with any comments, questions, or anything you would like.
Yeah, and if you have a couple bucks here and there, you can give them to us to keep this thing going.
Yes.
I could really use a mic stand. Yes, I know.
I could
And
use
a
a
few
new
other things.
laptop.
Yeah, and the occasional, yeah, that's asking for a lot, buddy. And the occasional time where we need to rent a movie to watch for this podcast. Yeah, and we have
I
some
rented
socials.
I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry.
You really have what it takes for this podcast. And I've got some socials down in the bio. I'm done saying them. You can look.
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at BatTracy01, on TikTok at Bat Loves Movies, and check out my YouTube at Punk Rock Blues.
Very cool. And our dads or brothers, just anywhere you feel like. Look.
Yes, all the links are in the bio. I do put them all there.
Perfect. Wonderful. All right. Well, until next time, I'm Nathan Tracy.
And I'm Bat Tracy, and our dads are brothers.
That they are. Well, that was fun.
I agree. This was fun.
Yeah, we should do it again sometime.
What, like the Hangover Part II?
Well, no, just talking about movies.
Oh,
in
yeah, I'd be
general.
down for that.
Awesome.
Maybe we could do a podcast.
Yeah, I've heard that's somewhat popular. To get like, I don't know, 6 to 10 weekly listeners is pretty easy.
Nice. I think we just need a clever name, like the Wolfpack.
Yeah, because I used to be one wolf, like a lone wolf in my pack, and
But now there's
now,
two of us.
now there's 2 of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.